Hello, my little ninjas. My name's Mike. This is my YouTube page, Mox News. Welcome to your Wake and Bake News at 7 p.m. I'm your host, Moxie. All right, so I am ready for a bong hit, and I want to do this bong hit for Adam, AC, Adam AC, or AC. Adam has donated to Mox News for over a decade, $20 a month for over a decade. And I never did a bong hit for him. So I want to do this bong hit for Adam or AC. And I want you to know that I really, really appreciate you being such a great supporter. So AC, this bong hit's for you as soon as I get it ready. It's a little hot at the moment. And if you'd like me to do a bong hit for you, there are clickable links in the text body of this video so that you can leave a donation as well, including a $20 a month donation. Clickable links in the text body of this video. I'm telling you. Okay, this one's for Adam. Thanks so much, Adam. I don't know if you could see that one. It was very good. Because you can't see the one on the space station. I'm gonna have to get some light from underneath or something. You can't really see the one from the space station that well, so I don't know if you could see that one or not. But it was a good one. So thanks, Adam. Oh, and by the way, Adam is a very, very, very famous guy. So again, thank you very much, Adam, for being such a great supporter. It really means the world to me. That one's for you, bud. And let's see, I have a bunch of videos for you tonight. Where are they? These ones right here. All these ones about how racist white people are. All white people, excuse me. And I think this is really, really important subject because, they're talking about all this wokeness and where that's taking us. The thing is, the question itself, are all white people racist? If you turn it around and you say, yes, all white people are racist, I believe that's a racist statement, right? Just like if I was to say, all Latinos are this. All Latinos love chili peppers, right? That's basically a racist statement. Because not that there's anything not to like about chili peppers, and not that it's this negative thing, like when you say, all white people are racist. That's like saying all white people are criminals. If I was to say, at least in today's society, if you say someone's racist, that's like calling them a criminal, right? So all white people are racist or criminal. If I was to say all black people are criminals, or all black people are racist, or all Indian people, or Native American people, or Latino people, or Jamaican people, whatever I said, and you just include the entire group, that seems racist to me. Let's see. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Okay, man, long time no hear. How you doing?
I'm finally on the east side now.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm in Bellevue now.
Right on.
I moved back to Bellevue. Anyways, to answer your question that I saw in the YouTube video, no, white people are not all racist.
Okay.
There are good people, there are bad people, and there are people in between. They're all racist in creeds.
Yeah.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
This is a narrative that is being created by people from very malicious intent or very misguided people who is trying to create division among people. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe in Dr. King's dream?
The what?
Do you?
The what?
Do you believe in Dr. King's dream?
I'm sorry, I don't understand, Manny.
Do you believe in Martin Luther King's dream?
So you say something 13?
No.
There's a lot of background noise where you are, dude. I'm having trouble making out what you're saying.
Okay. Do you believe in Martin Luther King's dream?
Sure, it's a beautiful idea. I wish look. I'm so tired. Of the division, right? I'm so tired of all the pain in the world. You understand? We don't have to have all this pain in the world. All this pain in the world is by design. Okay? They want us separated. They want us starving. They want us in pain. They want us hurting. They want us in constant state of war. Okay?
Exactly.
So we don't have to be this way. We don't have to look at the other side and say, oh, you're those people. I was talking about labels last night. You're just using this to separate people and why they're separate from you. Oh, I'm better than this. Oh, da, 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 da. Say, we don't have to have that. We don't have to have this division. We don't have to have all this pain, all this poverty, all this war, all this bickering, all this crime. We don't have to have that. It's all by design, and it's all by separating us down into groups. Unlike the fact that we're all humans, unlike the fact that we're all Americans, it's got, oh no, you're this kind, and you're this kind, you're this kind, and people buy into it to the fact where they get down and they say, oh, all that group over there is racist. Fuck you! Okay? I may be racist, but I got a problem with all white people being racist. Okay? And I'm not saying that I am racist. I said I may be. So, because I will admit that there's this programming that goes on, and it's very hard to ignore. So, and I've talked about it before. You in the movies, you see this white woman walking down a dark alleyway, and all of a sudden there's 4 looming figures, and it's always black guys, and it's the programming. But again, I try and take every single person as an individual. I've said that for years. So go ahead, Manny.
So that's all I want to say, Max. I believe in Dr. King's dream. We shouldn't judge people based on the color of their skin. Because it seems to me like there's a section of people, and these are not like your typical white supremacists. These are left-leaning people who judge people based on the color of their skin.
I think a lot of it, Manny, is, this virtue signaling to let people know I'm one of the good ones. I'm not like those people, which is the problem, is that, oh, I'm one of the good ones. Those are the bad people. Again, these are the labels. You attach them to yourself, you attach them to other people. We're all humans, and if we could all acknowledge that, then maybe we could come together and move forward into, like, a greater humanity. But
I agree.
Yeah.
I just don't like this rhetoric that is actually very divisive, and that is being used on all sides. In not just the left, it's the right, but it's more prominent right now among the left people that they're doing that kind of label. That is very. I mean, how you heard about the term critical race theory?
No, the labeling is on both sides, dude. It's very much on both sides. And the reason I say that is because it's a tool that they use to divide us. And this side is trying real hard to divide these people from those people. The reason being, because then they have this whole fucking audience that they can go, oh yeah, you like to hear this, and you like to hear this, and you like to hear this. And the other side is trying to do the same thing. So they're all using these fucking labels, Manny.
All right. Anyway, just want to say hi, Max.
Yeah, man, it's good to hear from you. I hope you have a nice place to live over there. And where you at, Bellevue?
Yeah, I'm close to Lake Sammamish.
Nice. That's a nice neighborhood, dude.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty much by the city limits with Issaquah. So I'm nice here. It's nice here.
Right on. I like Redmond. Redmond's an easy place to be.
Yeah, that's true, though. You should definitely walk around the Lake Sammamish every once in a while. There's parks around Lake Sammamish.
Yeah,
So,
it's
anyways,
it's
all
awesome.
right, Bob.
Okay, Manny, glad to hear from you.
Have a good day.
All right, that's our buddy Manny. Made it back to the east side. I always say he's from the eastern. Well, he's from the east side of Seattle, and then he moved to eastern Washington, which is like 110 degrees over there right now. So he's like, "Fuck it, I'm going back to Seattle," which I can't blame him. Smart man. And again, this is the real problem with this, okay? All right, white people are racist. This is just pressing the divide more. And it doesn't matter which side you're on. If you're on the side that says, yeah, all white people are racist. If you're on the side that says, hey, all white people aren't racist, all you're doing is pressing the divide more. You know, I just got done saying, you know, I may be racist. I may be. I'm not saying I am, but I may be in different ways. Like I said, a lot of programming going on. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Hey, how you doing?
I am fine. How are you?
I'm doing great. I saw the topic, so I'm a black man, so let me comment on that. No, hell no. All white people, no. It's a lot of great white people out there, and I'm going to tell you something who the enemy is. The CIA and the FBI the enemy, and I'm going to only tell you why I believe that. They the enemy because they try to keep the news media, which is controlled by the CIA, they try to keep blacks and whites fighting each other because I believe the CIA they're afraid that black and white would team up and go against them. That's why I believe they try to keep it.
Right. It's not a matter of blacks and whites. It's just the people becoming Americans and recognizing the common enemy. They're terrified of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I figured that out a long time ago because I'm from Mississippi myself, so I've been staying in Chicago since 2004, and it took me a long time. And for me being from Mississippi, I can tell you firsthand, hell no. It's really not racist like how the news try to portray it.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
I
think you got a great show. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I want to hear what you're saying.
No. I was just commenting saying you have a really great show. I've been following you for a while. I think I've been following you since like 2018. No, 2015, I believe. But man, I really like your content you have on your show. Very positive.
Right on. Well, I'm super glad you called. What's your name?
My name's Lee.
Lee?
Yes, sir. Yes,
right
sir.
on, Lee. Well, it's really good to hear from you. So, do you live in Mississippi now?
You went back and forth. I'm also in Illinois, so on the summer times I always go to Illinois, and then for the winter I go to Mississippi because it be so cold here.
Yeah, no shit, man. I don't know how people do it in Chicago in the winter. I'm just like, Chicago, a nice place to visit, but there's no way I want to live there.
Right, absolutely. Tell me about it. And I don't know if you heard about our mayor here. She is so fucking terrible, man. You know, she almost worse than Barack. I thought Barack was some shit. And, I'm sorry for the curse, I'm sorry, but Barack was a terrible president, I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth. The truth is the truth.
Yeah.
So,
no. Look, but that's a good point. Barack Obama. Okay, if all white people were racist, then there's no way they would vote for a black president.
Absolutely.
And they didn't vote for Barack Obama as some kind of virtue signaling bullshit. They saw an intelligent human being who was promising that he was going to do better. Okay? And the American people went, we want this guy. Overwhelmingly. The world did the same fucking thing. Oh, the world's all racist. There's segments of racism out there. Okay? But it's not every one of this fucking group. And when you do that, you're being racist. Okay? Let's plate that real clear.
Absolutely. Hey, I agree with you 100%. Barack Obama, he shitted on us, man. He shitted on the whole American people, man. Oh, my God. It seemed like it was George Bush Part 2 when he got it off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I can't say it around a lot of my black friends because they're not trying to hear that. They think Barack is just some type of savior. And when I try to break everything down and try to show them what he actually did and how the terrible things he did in office, people don't. They just can't see it for the reality of it. You
have to understand from their viewpoint, they're desperate for heroes, man. There's so few of them around, you know. Basically, heroes now are fucking jocks, you know, NFL players and shit, and that just don't cut it.
Yeah. And they try to make the NBA players out heroes, man. And all they were doing is with racist. Oh my God. Oh, bro. It's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
It's a crazy world. We gotta come together. We gotta have these discussions. This is why I have this show, so that we can, you know, get this out in the open and have talk about it. I'm really glad that you're part of it, Lee.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm glad you. But hey, keep going for it, brother. I'm supporting 100%.
Right on. Well, I look forward to talking to you again soon, I hope.
Oh, you will, sir. Trust me.
Okay.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Yeah,
Okay.
just stay cool. Stay cool. We'll get through it, man.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you soon, I hope.
All right.
And that was Lee from Mississippi. Or wait, he goes to Chicago in the summers. So, or he said Illinois, not Chicago. But fuck yeah, it gets cold, man. I hear that. I would not want to be there in the winter. Again, I want to go back to this separation thing, to this thing about, you know, this is how they divide us. And the reason, and we don't have to have all this pain. We don't have to have all this suffering. We don't have to have all the homelessness, all the hungry people, you know, the never-ending tragedy, right? That's what we have right now for life, okay? And it doesn't have to be that way. The only reason it's really that way is because they have us so divided, right? If the people could come together and just love each other, we could share the bounty of the world. We could make the world into anything we wanted. And it would be really, really close to a paradise again. Because if no other reason, we came together and we stopped all the bullshit division, and we stopped all those are the bad guys and we're the good ones, and just stop buying into that fucking lie, okay? Because if you somehow think, you know, this group over here are the good ones and those ones are the bad ones, we're never going to come together. Or if we do, you're not going to be part of it. And if you do try to be part of it, you'll just be disruptive, okay? We want to make a better world. The reason to make a better world, the reason to get rid of the pain, the reason to get rid of the suffering, the reason to get rid of the war is because that's the world you live in right now. And like I say again and again, you deserve better. We all deserve better. Except for the war profiteers. They deserve to go to prison forever. Because they're part of the problem that have caused the divisions, caused so much pain and suffering. And for what reason would people be so evil as to cause so much pain and suffering unnecessarily? Like Iraq, where the Pentagon, our country, murdered 1 million innocent people based on lies that came directly from the White House and the Pentagon, with your tax dollars in your name. You know, we don't have to have a world like that. They want that. Those are the evil people, and they want the rest of the world to associate all the U.S. citizens as that, right? And, you know, they're the ones causing the division. The government, the politicians, all of our pain and suffering and division and confusion and you know, desperation. It all comes from the U.S. government. And how much more of it spread around the world comes from the U.S. government directly, solely. And all of it's done in your name. And it's causing pain in your neighborhood. Great, great pain. Again, we can have a paradise if we don't have pieces of shit in the Pentagon that say we have to be ready to make war. 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 What part of that don't you get? That's our country in a nutshell. That's our leadership in a nutshell. That's our government. Okay? And it needs to be decapitated. And that head needs to be kicked into the ocean. Because they're the ones causing the pain. And why would they be so evil? Why would anyone be so evil? So they can make money, of course. Right? That's why most of the evil is done in the world. That's why they push the division so much. So that we're so busy being, angry at those people over there and upset and tense and stressed out and, so many unnecessary feelings because, again, we could be happy. Think about how long they kept cannabis from us. A big part of the reason they kept cannabis from us, again, besides the facts, well, the way I see cannabis is that it connects us to the earth, it connects us to each other, and it connects us to the higher spirit. And so they kept it from us because they don't want us to be happy or connected. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, so it looks like we have an imposter in the chat. I just need to make clear that whoever's on there is Craig R. I'm about to kick your fucking ass off the channel and block you right now. Not cool to impersonate me. I will fuck you up.
Okay.
You see all the Craig R's in there and all the bullshit that's going on? That's all some fucking retard in there that wants to get kicked.
Hey, we don't use the R word here.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, retarded just means someone that's not quite up to speed. It's like, like retarding the timing on an engine. You can advance the timing and you can retard the timing.
No.
So, okay, fine. This fucking asshole is about to get bounced because it's not nice to screw with Mother Nature, and I am going to come down on you like God mode. So, looking back through to see if there's anything specifically that I want to screenshot before they go away.
And so you guys know, when someone does go God mode on your ass in the chat, it ain't me. I unless all my mods are gone, then I might kick Steve McClanahan's ass. But generally,
I was just working over here on some other stuff with my project. That's why I'm not. Well, I look over and I see Craig R. I'm like, who's impersonating? So. I don't know who it is. I really don't give a fuck who it is, but
Craig is the wrong person to fuck with, nutwad.
I'm gonna go ahead and block him, and in about 15 seconds, I'm literally blocking. Here we go. Where the fuck out of there? Hide this user on this channel. Mod privileges, Wonder Twin powers activate. Later. That person is now hidden all messages, so you're now seeing them all gone, and only we can see them. So whoever you are, you just fucked yourself. You're not part of the chat anymore.
Watch out, fuckers.
I don't mind. Hey, Whisper knows that when I mess around with him in the chat, that it's just banter because you got to jab at each other. That's like, sitting there at the bar hanging out and you jab your bro and go, hey, dude, fuck you. That's different. I can dig that. But when somebody jumps in and impersonates me in the chat, that's not cool. So... what's the number one rule of Fight Club? We don't talk about Fight Club. Later.
Okay. That's Craig. And again, when somebody's messing around in the chat and it says that I'm the one that did something, it's really, really rare that I do anything. It's not that I don't want anything done, it's that I have moderators who do that because... I don't want. It's not about me slanting the conversation one way or another. You should be able to hear that from the callers. I don't know if you can or not. I don't try and silence what they're saying. I try and respond to what they're saying. This is very important to me. This is what the conversation is about. Me listening to what it is you think about this and me responding, so that's what a conversation is. And that's why we do this. So, as I was saying, it doesn't have to be like this. You know, there doesn't have to be the division, the anger, you know, the pain, the suffering, the homelessness, the hungry people, the climate change. Not that climate doesn't change. The thing is that we're really good at things. Humans are really good at some stuff. And one of the things we're really good at is growing things. So if we wanted to change the world, this planet, Earth, back into the blue-green jewel that she's meant to be, we could do that. Again, we're very good at growing stuff. So, and I just don't see anyone having that discussion at all. You know, I see a couple cities around the world, not in this country, although I think some are working on it, where it's just green. There's just green everywhere. You know, and this is what I'm talking about. We're very good at growing things, and we can make green everywhere if we want, if that's a priority. If we want to solve world hunger, it would be so simple. But no one wants that. They want to have puppies they can point to out in the snow. If you don't donate $5 a month, we're going to let this puppy freeze. You don't want this puppy to freeze, do you? No one's trying to fix these things. They're rushing in with supplies that are what? A month's worth of supplies, 2 months worth of supplies. They could go in and fix the problem, and they'd have everything they need for generations. No matter how much it costs, it's going to be cheaper than going in every month with a month's worth of supplies. Guaranteed. And again, I don't see anyone discussing that. I'm not this fucking brilliant visionary, okay? You deserve better than what we're getting. I'm a very simple guy. I believe in freedom. You know why I believe in anarchy? Because I believe in you. I believe in humans. I think without all this bullshit government weighing on our fucking backs day and night and day, 24/7. Without all that, we'd have a much, much better chance of coming together. We'd have a much, much different set of priorities. I think it would be a really beautiful thing. Most people think of anarchy like the purge. I don't see it that way. But again, that's because I believe in you, and I don't think most people do. No offense. Most people see other humans like they see The Purge, the movie, I think. At least this is some of the experience that I've had. But that's me looking like me and going around places and then be like, you know, why is that guy here? Because I go some pretty nice places sometimes. I've been... I went to a billionaire's house for a party one time. A fucking pajama party. I'm wearing a beautiful silk robe. I walk and a cannabis lei around my neck. I walk into the party, and immediately, within 10 feet of the fucking front door, someone walks up to me and says, "Do you belong here?" And I looked at her, and I said, "Why don't you go ask the person who lives here if I belong here?" And she comes back and says, "Oh, he said that you're so funny and I should have you tell me stories." And I was like, "Bitch, is that why you invited me to your fucking party? To be at fucking entertainment?" Not the lady that I was talking to, but the owner of the house, when I say bitch. Because I called him bitch a lot. And you know what that got me? That got me invited to a billionaire's house for fucking parties and for dinner and to discuss other things, and taking me to the movies to go see V for Vendetta because I had to go see it according to him. thinking about me. A billionaire thinking about me. That's what it got me, because I don't give a fuck. Okay? I have this priority of wanting better for everyone. Okay? And last night they're all, oh, you better calm down because you're going to scare everyone away. Look, you want to go away? There's a bazillion people to go fucking watch. Okay? I'm here to do something, start a conversation that maybe can spread a little wider and make it a little bigger. Because what I see is people dividing. I don't see people saying, we're all humans. We're all Americans. We're not this group and those are the bad ones and we're the good ones. That's bullshit. That's programmed, misleading bullshit. Simply to divide. We're human. We're human beings. And if we could recognize that we're all from the same tribe, if we could recognize that we're all from the same tribe, imagine what could be accomplished. So I'm just saying, I have a lot of videos to play for you. Where should we start? Anti-white book being taught in elementary school. Does that sound right? Should we start there? No. Let's see. Kennedy on critical race theory? No, I don't think so. How about racism in soccer? How about that? Let's start there. Fucking white people. Just disgusting. White people, especially you fucking soccer hooligans. Disgusting. Again, if we can come together, we can get beyond this fucking bullshit. This is fucking programmed in division. Okay? I'm not trying to make light of it. I'm not trying to say it's not their fault. It's not their choice. I'm saying that they're a product of their environment. And that some people may not be smart enough to think beyond the programming. It appears lots and lots of people aren't smart enough to be able to think beyond the programming. So, again, I'm not making excuses for them. I'm saying if we could come together, instead of saying that group, all white people are fucking racist. Instead of saying that, if we say humanity has a problem with racism. How about we start there? Humanity has a problem with racism. Can you agree with that? Do you agree with that? I think it's pretty obvious. Might just be me, but what I see is that and if we were all to come together, get beyond that for just a minute, I bet we could solve that problem pretty quick. The thing is, the government, the U.S. government, that's the last thing they would ever want, is for us to solve racism on the planet. Because obviously, humanity does have a problem with racism. Pretty much all of humanity. So, it ain't, this group or that group. That's just the division thing. It's humanity. It's like when I say, it's not the Republicans, it's not Democrats, it's Americans, right? It's all humanity. And it's not what I want. And I figure, with the discussion that's going on, from what I can tell, it's not what a lot of people want. They don't want the division. They don't want all the sorrow. They don't want all the pain in the world. They don't want all the war. So why aren't we coming together to stop those things? Because somehow we're bought into, those are the good ones. I'm the good ones. Those are the bad ones. We're all human. We're all Americans. If we can just come together instead of saying, oh, conservatives are the evil ones and liberals are the good ones. Doesn't that sound incredibly childish? Doesn't it? How can you buy into stuff like that? If we were Americans, I've said again and again, we should abolish the Republican and the Democrat Party. And you know why? Because then if we abolish the Democrats and we abolish the Republicans. We should just abolish all parties. Libertarian, independents, no more parties. None, zero, zilch. Okay? And then when these people are campaigning to become president, when they're, debating, which is really important, and when we're voting, it wouldn't be that we're fucking Republicans voting for fucking Republicans and fucking Democrats voting for fucking Democrats. We'd be Americans voting for Americans. And how can that not be what this place is all about? The founding fathers warned against having parties. They knew where that would lead. And, I'm not a visionary. Like I said, I believe they were. And they knew a lot of things, like the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, all these, right to, right to freedom of, non-search and seizure, unreasonable search and seizure, freedom of, beyond that, the Fourth Amendment, privacy, right of privacy. These things are, these things are for everyone. And we recognize these things to be self-evident. We're not giving these things to you. You already have this. And we're just putting it down on paper that no one can take these things from you. Inalienable rights. Because it's you were born with them, and anyone who tries to limit your freedom of speech in any way, those people are a danger to all of us. They're keeping us from evolving. And what I see is more and more limitation of speech. And it's not something new. It's been going on for a long time. I've been a big censorship guy from, the late 90s. I started off on this big anti-censorship campaign, like 1996. And I've done more than my part. That being said, the censorship is holding us back. It's keeping us from evolving. And there's just more and more and more of it being piled on. And it keeps us from the truth, And it to the point of, during the 2004 election in the United States of America, during the 2004 election between John Kerry and George W. Bush, outside the campaigns, outside the speeches, they had freedom of speech zones, right? Where they were basically chain link fences set up like in a big containing area. And if you wanted to go and protest in the United States of America, you had to go to the freedom of speech zone to do your protesting, to hold up your sign, to do your chant. And that's what, freedom of speech, freedom in general, has come to mean in America. Is that if you want to express your freedom, we're gonna censor you one way or another. Look at what YouTube's done. Look at Facebook having the Hunter Biden story about his laptop. That we now know was a real story, and it was censored again and again and again by Facebook. It was censored by YouTube. It was censored by Twitter. Again, this is those organizations messing with our elections, interfering in our elections. I keep saying the Russians are interfering in our elections. Facebook, YouTube, all these groups, Twitter, they fucked with our election. They fucked with our election real hard. How? By limiting free exchange of information. which what their platforms are supposed to be all about is freedom of information being exchanged. This is what I see. This is what I know. All this, everything. This is what I did today. Just, whatever it is. This is how I play my harp. There's a bazillion different things on Twitter, on, whatever it is you're looking for. And they've done nothing but censor. So they're a threat to humanity. They're a threat to our elections. They interfered in our elections, and to me, that makes them a national security threat. Because if Russia is interfering in our elections, which I keep hearing, and they say that's a national security threat, which they keep saying, then Facebook interfering with our elections, Twitter interfering with our elections, Google interfering with our elections is a national security threat. And, again, if we could come together as humans and understand, we're here to make, we're here basically as tenders of a perfect paradise. And it doesn't have to be division. It doesn't have to be hate. It doesn't have to be pain and suffering and war, guns everywhere. It doesn't have to be that. It's because of the programming. It's because of the misleadership. It's because it's by design. They want it this way. The rich people, the people who own factories, the government, they want slaves that they can get to build their money supply. That's the way it's always been. So we need to come together, because if we don't, I feel really bad for your kids. I feel really bad for your kids. I mean, I'm not going to carry that with me everywhere I go, because I don't have to. But I would think some of you would. So I'm trying to put out a solution. I'm trying to have a discussion about a solution. I'm trying to move humanity towards its next evolution, which should bring us all together. The next evolution, I don't think it will happen without us coming together. So, it moving that direction, which I don't think it is. And I really would much prefer to say, I see it coming. I see it coming down that tunnel. I see a light. I see a light at the end of the tunnel. Hello, caller.
Hello. My name is Richard.
No, it's not.
Second time caller, long time listener.
Why can't you just be you, man? Why you gotta be all fake and shit?
Well, it's the new trend here in America. So you gotta get in where you fit in. Plus all the plastic surgery and shit. I mean, you could actually.
You got something? You got something against big tits or what?
I mean, there is such a thing as they are actually too big. and also, I just think you shouldn't, talk about women's tits.
Really?
It's like grabbing a pussy.
It's different. I'm not grabbing their tits. I'm just asking you
But
if
you
you don't
you're
like
mentally-
big tits. Because you were talking
You
about
might have thought
surgery.
about it. Like, I wish I could have just fished the nipple.
Well, yeah, of course. I think about that day and night. All day long, I dream about sex. Don't you know that?
And I tell you what, God damn it, you literally now the fucking fucking whole feminist community is going to fucking lash out against you and just say how fucking
right
great it is.
here, suck my motherfucking dick, all of you.
Holy shit. That was a little extreme. But I was actually calling, sir, to talk about the discussion matter subject of the evening. Are all white people racist?
Okay.
Michael, do you think that capital A, capital L, all fucking white people are racist?
Doesn't say
And I'm
fucking.
not
It
talking
doesn't
about
say
the
fucking
world,
white.
I'm not
It doesn't
talking
say
about the
fucking white
fucking
people.
world.
It says all white
this
people.
is only
It doesn't say fucking white
this
people.
is these people that I'm talking about. They only live in America. Okay, so are every single one of them fucking racist? Like I think, because I think all of them are. I think every single last one of these motherfuckers are racist. Every single goddamn one of, and I'm one of them. I am one of these fucking racist white people.
White devil.
And I have actually understood. And I am grateful to be able to learn the knowledge of what I actually am. I have a meaning now. I actually am a racist. And I, sir, have to acknowledge all of my fucking wrongdoings of existing on this planet as a white, straight, white, male, jacked, and tan, and shit. I have to acknowledge that I am a disgrace to society for even existing because of my fucking skin color has oppressed everybody else's existence in the entire fucking world currently. And I've got a gun here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this world a fucking favor, okay?
No,
And
no.
for all the black
hey,
people out
hey,
there
hey,
in
I'm
the
not.
world,
No, hey, I'm not. We're not talking about
and,
hurting
oh
ourselves.
yeah, I'm gonna do this. I have to do this
No, no, we're not
the black
talking about.
people.
Hey, we're not talking about hurting ourselves. Okay.
We have to do this for the black people. It's
Yeah,
the only way.
no. We don't have
Yes.
to do this. I don't want
Yes.
you poisoning
I
other people's
acknowledge the
minds
fact that
with your fucking rotten
caused
brain.
My personal own skin color has caused every single fucking death and destruction in the entire universe, and I need to acknowledge that. And do you not realize how horrible of what we have done as white people here in America to the fucking world? Literally, you if you can't acknowledge
It's not
the fact
the
that you
white
should
people.
fucking pull out a gun
It's
and
not
just
the
blow
white.
your fucking-
It's not the white people. Okay, it's not what the white people have done. I talk again and again and again. It's about the government. Okay, it's the government that causes all this pain, all this despair. It's the government. It's not white people. Okay, I don't know if I can identify as white. I mean, lots of people are identifying the way they want to identify these days, right? That being said, look, it's not white people that are causing the pain. It's the fucking government. It's the U.S. government. The U.S. government is causing pain around the world. And it's doing it in your name. That's why it looks like, somehow all this white supremacy is behind the world, behind the pain. It's not. Okay, that's not where the pain is coming from. It's coming from the government. Okay, the government is, again, allowing poverty to happen, helping it happen by spending all of our treasure on making war. It's all they do is spend money on making war. And why do they not want to help lift up the poverty? Why do they not want to help build a better world? Because they're making war, and they need people, like I said, they need slaves. They need people that are desperate. I need to find a way out of this. Oh, the military offers you all these benefits. Stable job, clean clothes, food. Can you imagine being that desperate? You go and join the military because you're desperate for a way out. And that's why they want so many desperate people. That's a big part of it. They want the pain, they want the suffering, because it's so hard to move beyond those things. If this is what you're experiencing in your daily life, the idea of oh, I'm going to go make this happen is 1,000 times harder. Oh, I'm going to go do this. If you're stressed and overworked and underappreciated, and you get home and you have a minute to relax, I don't think your priority is going to be some political bullshit. Hello, caller.
Hey, Mike, how are you doing tonight?
I'm fine.
Yeah. What's the weather like up there?
It's a little warm, but we went out really early this morning. Well, not really. We went out at 9 a.m. So it was nice and cool then.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm glad you got out early before it was warm in the afternoon.
We've been getting out early for the last 2 weeks. It's just too hot on the asphalt to walk the dog. So.
Yeah, looking at a weather report, it looks like it's going to be that way for about another week or two.
They said it's going to be like 70 tomorrow. That sounds perfect to me.
Yeah, I saw mid-80s in the 10-day forecast. But anyway,
yeah, the weekend's going to heat back up. What I hear.
Yeah, I watched a good documentary last night. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a good documentary, but I've watched it over the last 2 days. It was a 9-part series. Like an hour and a half, hour each episode, and it was made in 1987.
I know what you watched. No, go ahead.
The Story of English. And it was made by the guy Robert McNeil of the McNeil-Lehrer NewsHour.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that guy.
I used to post clips of him all the time.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy, Canadian, and he was on the McNeil-Lehrer Report. But in 1987, he made this 9-part documentary, and it was called The Story of English, about the English language. And like for example, the first part was called An English-Speaking World, about how England became the dominant language of the world. And then the second episode was about the early stages of the English language, including Old English and Middle English. And then, up to like Elizabethan times with William Shakespeare and the King James Bible, and how modern English kind of took its shape. And then the next 5 episodes talk about the influence of Scottish on English language, and the influence of African American slaves and black people on the English language, and then how Canadian English and American English evolved. And then also about how Australian English and Irish English are different forms of the English language. And then the last episode was about how English is evolving, and it really focused on the third world, like places in Nigeria and in the Caribbean, and places that were outposts of the British Empire. And then when the British Empire left, people still used English as a form of communication. So that episode was a lot about like Creole, which is like when languages like become fused with native languages, and also about kind of like Pidgin English. And Pidgin English is like when people just trade with each other, say like, I got shit, you got shit, give me that, I give you that. And they use really simple words to communicate with each other. So it was like a 9-hour
It's very common in Hawaii. You hear a lot of Pidgin English in Hawaii.
Yeah, and in all the outposts. So the question that you raised tonight, are all white people racist? You know, I just watched this documentary about the English language, and why is the English language important? Like in India, for example, you know, there are more speakers of English in India than there are in North America or in Great Britain, right? There's over 1.3 billion people who live in India, and most of them speak some kind of English. And that's an interesting thing to think about. You know, why is there English? Why are people speaking English in India? It's because people in England made a fortune growing cotton and taking minerals and extracting resources from India for like 300 or 400 years. So that's the reason why they speak English there. You know, why do white people speak English in North America? It's because English colonists came here, took all of the stuff, and basically killed anybody in their path all the way across the continent. And that's the reason why we speak English. So it's undeniable that the most powerful people in this nation of like whatever, it's 400 years or something since British people emigrated here, are predominantly going to be, you know, British, you know, whatever, English ancestry, who speak American English and who have powerful positions of power. So those are the people who set this system up to begin with, Mike. Of course they're fucking racist.
That's not the question.
It isn't the question, but they are racist. Like when they came here and they
of course,
killed
a
all
lot
of
of
the
the look, a
indigenous
lot of the
people in their-
programming, a lot of the basics that are built into the world, that this is the way the world is racist. Again, and this is what I said before. It's not a white person issue. It's a humanity issue. Humanity has a problem with racism. Not white people, humanity. Again, let's come together and solve these issues as opposed to pointing fucking fingers and saying they're the problem. How fucking stupid is that?
Okay, Mike. I'm not saying anything is stupid or smart or anything like that. I'm just saying, factually, the people who run this country, who have run this country for the past 400 years, are very similar to each other. That's all I am saying. That's all I said. And that's true. And this documentary that I watched last night talks about the influence of the British language around the world, how it started, and if you think about it, how did it start? It started basically in the 15 and 1600s, Mike, and it started with them like exporting like their form of capitalism or trade, where they would trade with people around the world and set up colonies in places like Australia and in North America.
Right.
You know, that's the foundation
right.
of a lot of this.
Those people are racist. That's what I'm saying. Look, this has been spread around the world, and it's not just white people, okay? Japanese people are racist, Korean people are racist. It's everywhere, okay?
It's true.
So it's not a white people issue.
Well, it's true. It's not a white people issue, but the one thing that is true, Mike, is even though it's not unique to like our situation, right? It is like the fact that like in the world, that like the power, the most money and the most power and the most resources in the world reside in those places where people are Caucasian. All right? You know, I mean, that is changing. And I talk about that all the time with China, like how many billionaires there are in China and how, in fact, in East Asia, there's a lot more economic power than there has ever been before. I totally agree with you about that. But these attitudes, like what is racism and such, like has a lot to do with who has the power, right? Who has the power? And whoever has the power are the people that have the right to say, like, I'm better than you, and you're, like, shittier than me, and fuck you. And that leads to resentment and all of these, like, discussions about racism and identity, you know? Basically, I mean, in a nutshell, I think that's about power. You know, are you a racist? Or is that who has power in a relationship? Whoever has power in a relationship is dominant, right? So, like, whoever has the most money ultimately has the most power in any society. That's all I'm saying.
Well, of course. So, I mean, look, I got to take a break real quick, Chris. So,
Yeah, I understand, Mike.
all right, it's good to hear from you. I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Yeah, have a nice night. Peace.
All right, so again, I want to be real clear about this in case I haven't already. This is a humanity problem. Humanity has a racism problem. It's not white people are the problem, white people are the racist. It's humanity. It's spread around the world. I don't know if it's a natural thing. In my opinion, it's a programmed thing. At the same time, I can see why these people might be racist against those people because they've been at war all this time, so we hate the whatever people. It's everywhere. Okay? And again, the war, the suffering, the pain. Chris was talking about the poverty, all these things that I keep saying it doesn't have to be that way. That if we could come together, those things make the racism even more, because people are looking for someone to point the finger at. You know, because it's not my fault that all this pain and suffering is happening in the world. It's not because of this, you know. It's so they need to point at somebody else and say it's their fault. They're the ones. And I'll tell you again, it's not this group of people or that group of people. It's the American government. It's the U.S. government. They're causing the pain and suffering around the world. All of us know that. All of us. You know? And again, if we could recognize that the racism is a humanity problem, then we could get over it. And you know, and make happen the things we need to make happen, which we have very little time to do. Hello, caller.
What's up, man?
I am doing this thing that I do. What is up with you?
I just called him, Andy. I know you know this number. I've called in a couple times before.
I don't pay attention to such things.
Oh, you know?
Not me.
Well,
That's Craig's job. I don't pay attention to that shit.
Well, Greg knows what's up. You're talking about, is it all white people racist? I would say no.
Okay. I would say no also. I think it's racist to say all white people are racist, you know, or all black people are this, or all Hispanic people are this. If you include the whole group, you know, that's just not realistic. And if you're doing that,
I agree with that.
Yeah, I think that's.
Would you also agree with that there's a large percentage of white people in this country that are racist?
I think that there's a large group of white people in this country, a large percentage of white people in this country that are racist and don't for 1 second realize it. You know, there's a lot of people.
I'm talking about people who realize they are. Would you
I wouldn't say that is a large. I wouldn't say that is a large percentage of people. I would say, you know, that there is a percentage of people that would identify gladly as being racist, you know, but I don't think it's a large percentage of people.
I want to be a contrarian, but I'm only saying this because I am a black American citizen, and I'm a fan of your show. But I will also say this. I asked that question because are you telling me that the heartland of America doesn't have a large percentage of white racist people?
What I'm telling you is that the heartland, wherever. I don't know exactly where you mean by the heartland. Are you talking about Iowa?
I'm talking about Iowa. Let's go. I'm talking about Iowa, Missouri, North and South Dakota, Indiana, Wisconsin, Ohio, Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida.
Okay, again, I do not believe that a large percentage, what do you consider? I do not believe that a large percentage of people consider themselves, to be acting in racist ways. Okay?
Because they don't identify as such don't mean that they're not behaving.
This is my point, is that they don't know that they're being racist. They're trying...
Are you giving them a benefit of the doubt?
No, I don't think so. I think that there's this huge amount of programming that goes on, especially with the racism thing. We've all seen these movies where, the black guy is the bad guy. How many times have we seen that in the movies? Over and over and over and over.
Well, how many times have you seen the black man or the black person under oppression, and there's some racial ass movie that's out too?
I kind of missed what you were saying at the end about.
I'm saying you said programming, and I'm saying the opposite. How many movies have we seen where somebody is black dealing with some form of oppression, whether it's NASA, some slave shit, or this, that, or another, some 70s crime saga, whatever you want to do.
Dealing with oppression, sure, that's.
The propaganda is equal on both sides, but I do agree with what you're saying. It is some form of division that is being perpetuated through this media machine. But it doesn't mean that they're not a large percentage of fucking racists in this country. That, if I had to put an actual number on it, I'd say about 60-40.
You mean 40%, 60% identify as racist?
No, I would say about 60% of the country has prejudice in some form or another.
Right, but that's different from acting out in racist ways purposefully.
But that doesn't. Okay, fair. And if that's the case, I would say maybe 20% of the country is doing that.
Right, like I said, it's not a large. I don't believe.
Another 20.
Go ahead.
I probably say another 20% are people who may think that way in behind closed doors, but they may be too pussy to act on it in public. Do you agree with that?
I don't. I think that I don't think that people want to consciously act that way. Again, I think that there's this percentage of them that can't move beyond the programming. I'm not trying to give them some kind of out. I'm just saying they're probably not that strong-willed of people. They're probably not that smart, right?
Okay. I used to play AAU basketball growing up, right?
Yeah, AAU. What is that?
AAU, American Athletics basketball.
Okay.
AAU, like a travel league, right? And we had to work at Bristol Motor Speedway. We worked the tent and handed out food. Okay? And I'm going to tell you, that's just that raceway. You know how many rebel flags and shit we've seen there?
Do you think that people fly? Do you think that people fly rebel flags just to show that they're racist?
I think it's a symbol of it, and if you think that it's not, then what is it a symbol of? Rebellion
or
what?
Do you remember the what was that show with the Duke brothers, Dukes of Hazzard? You remember that show? They had it's racist, huh?
Generally.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you saying? What are you saying with that?
I'm saying I watched that show. Not very much. I don't think it's a good show, but I watched that show and I didn't ever perceive it as being racist. Now I might have been very young. What's that?
Who are the good old boys? Then?
What's that?
Who are the good old boys?
No.
I said, who are the good old boys?
Oh, the good old boys. Look again. There's this division going on. It's programmed, okay? And I was talking about this last night. These fucking labels are what's keeping us apart, whether you're putting them on someone else or you're self-identifying, as this label right here. I just put this label on me. This is who I am. I'm one of the good ones. With that.
I agree.
I agree with that.
Yeah, this is
I
what's
agree.
keeping us
That's
apart.
identity
Yeah, go ahead.
That's identity politics. That's identity politics.
Yeah.
And, sorry, I'm talking on my headphones. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm just outside having a smoke, drinking a beer.
Right on. It's all good. It's all good.
But I'm only saying this because perception is everything, right? And this identity, like I personally feel like this divide in our country right now, as far as Democrat, Republican, it's based on identity. People feel like they need a group to cling to because they feel like they have something more in common with this group. When in actuality, you're all poor together.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Right?
yeah, go ahead.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I agree with the group thing. I think people are somewhat desperate to fit in somewhere, you know.
Somewhere they have to do something.
Yeah, well, it's not so much I have to do something as I can't be alone. I need to be part of. I need other people around me, you know.
You have to make a choice whether you're an outcast, a loner, you're probably the popular group, you're with the jock group, you're with the country boys. You're all part of it. You can even break it down to jobs. You work in the oil field, you do construction.
I'm with the stoners, man. I'm with the stoners.
Me too. I live in Colorado.
Fuck yeah.
But and the only reason why I say that, in my state, I feel like personally in my state, the culture in this state brings people together.
The cannabis.
As opposed to being somewhere else where it's not a uniform thing. It's like, to me, I look at it like football. When football season's around, you're gonna see a lot of people, they dead that shit and they're into watching the game with their neighbors, their friends, their coworkers and whatnot. Same thing with smoking weed. Hey, I got some dabs. You wanna come over and smoke a dab too?
Fuck yeah. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
And now we've broken down the barriers without even having a conversation. We're just trying to get out.
Well, I think there's more involved. This is the connection and all that, you know, sharing, and we want all those things, but we definitely want to get high. And again, I agree with the connection and the you know, living in Colorado, you have this place where because people can consume cannabis on a regular basis and they don't have to worry about the law, you know, stomping on them because they did.
Right.
It takes all this tension off, all this stress off, so the division thing kind of falls away because it's this horrible programming, you know, and that allows and again, the cannabis, as I've said over and over, the way I see it is it connects us to the earth. It connects us to each other, and it connects us to the higher spirit. And what you're saying is it connects us to each other, and I agree with that 100%. You know,
I agree with everything you said too.
Yeah.
This is my last point, and I'm gonna let another caller get on the show. In my experience, I personally feel the second that you cross the Mississippi River and you're heading west, the less racist the country becomes.
So New York is New York.
You go to Arizona. You go to you know, Colorado. You're out in California, Las Vegas. You're not gonna get the same kind of prejudice or racism or heat that you were gonna get in Kentucky or South Carolina.
What about Texas?
Texas is on that fringe. You got your fringe. You got your Idaho. You got your Texas. You got your South Dakota and North Dakota, but most of those places nobody wants to frequent.
Yeah. No way. I don't want to go to Texas ever.
From my personal experience, if you head west, you're gonna see a more open. You know, everybody's demonizing these words because they're getting hijacked, but you're gonna see a more open and liberal society. If you are east of the Mississippi, Eastern Seaboard, you're gonna get the prejudice that you see in the movies. You don't get 100% of it.
Well,
if you live in Colorado, you live in Phoenix, Arizona, ain't nobody give a fuck about you, dude. You over here living in the best damn place in America. Who cares about what you do?
Yeah.
That's what California is so fun. Everybody wants to complain about California being liberal and shitty. The reason why everyone wants to go there and have fun is because no one cares what you're doing. They don't care. Just go live your life. Find your horse, smoke your weed, go to the beach, do what you're going to do. No one cares. Everyone's doing their thing anyway. It ain't the case on the Eastern Seaboard. It ain't the case below the Mason-Dixon. That is not the case.
I haven't spent a whole lot of time there. I've only visited on business trips or very short vacations. So I don't think I got a true experience of the flavor there, of the vibe there. It's like I always tell people when they go to Hawaii, Hawaii moves at this certain pace, and you don't even
Right.
you don't even become close to understanding what it is until like a month after you've been there. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look, that's the further west. The west is the best. The west side is the best side.
well,
Yeah, it's fun going to New York City and everything, but I'm gonna tell you right now, that's a discriminatory place. The people are apprehensive. It's a big city. Everyone's moving fast. You barely have time to even have a conversation. You can't even order a fucking hot dog without somebody rushing you because there's 5 people behind you. In line.
yeah.
That ain't the case. I've been to Boston. I've been to Maine. I've seen that shit. That ain't the case when you move west. You move out west, these Colorado people are like fucking, hey, what else can I get you, sir?
I hear you. I
Ain't
mean,
nobody snatching a purse when I come around. And granted, I carry myself very well, and I'm pretty successful. I'm pretty affluent. But ain't nobody clutching a purse. I don't want your shit.
yeah. Well, that's
I got
good.
No car. I got no clothes. I don't want your shit at all.
Yeah.
But for South, you're not gonna get that same energy. You ain't gonna get that energy.
Huh.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But outside of that, hey, I love the show. Big fan. Remember this number. I don't call in as much as I used to. I'm the dude who called in and told you when the coronavirus shit first broke on the news, and I called in. You were like, don't scare everybody. And I was like, if they don't get control of this, whatever this is, it's going to cause problems that are going to be detrimental to the future of everyone who lives in this country.
I really,
You're over this now.
yeah, I really encourage people not to buy into the fear. Look, there's so much fear, and it's just pumped in day and night. It's part of the misinformation, and the last thing you ever want to do is buy into the hyped up fear, because that's what they're hoping more than anything. That's why we went to war in
Yep.
Iraq. That's why we're in Afghanistan. That's all this shit is because you're afraid.
they
That's why the
manufacture those
racism happens. It's because people are afraid. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They manufactured those wars because I graduated high school in 2002. My 9/11 was my senior year. I was watching football film in my senior year and thought the shit was a commercial at first,
Yeah.
right? So nobody was scared of no Middle Eastern people before that. Did anybody give a shit? The only people that they had even contact with anybody from the Far East was Abu on Aladdin and Apu on The Simpsons. There
Yeah.
wasn't no Middle Eastern fright until after 9/11. Now everybody's all of a sudden, no terrorist attack, terrorists.
Well,
Before then, you don't give a shit about no terrorists.
Well, again, as I was talking about the programming with the movies, with the black people, like there's the black people are always the bad guys.
Right.
We watch that forever, and the night before shock and awe happened in Iraq. Right, and they blew up everything. The night before that, they were playing Raiders of the Lost Ark on the ABC Sunday night movie, right? And I'm like,
Right.
this is the biggest movie watching night, of the week. Why are they playing this 25-year-old movie? I don't understand. Not that it's not a good movie. And as I was watching it, I was working and kind of watching it in the background. As I was watching it, all of a sudden, there's all these Arab people, and they're helping the Nazis do this evil shit, and it's just, there's this programming has
Which
gone.
ties into a conspiracy theory.
This-
That ties into a conspiracy theory because Iran was the original first Aryan in their culture. That's what they call themselves. We've seen it in Arnold Schwarzenegger with True Lies, right? We've seen it with Last Action Hero. We've seen it with Die Hard, right?
Yeah,
It's been programming since.
right.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
If you honestly take a real look, you see where this is going, okay? The money's getting tight right now. That's why these countries are adopting Bitcoin as a legal tender. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They do it because when shit gets so strung out, it gets stretched so thin, there's going to be a war. And somebody's going to get their ass bombed. And it's going to be on film. And it's going to start some shit that we will all see. Like, not like our parents. Like my first time seeing it, your first time seeing it, and if your parents is alive, it's going to be their first time seeing it too. And it's going to be a whole new type of war, a whole new thing that we all will experience at once. Because all the wars in the past, only for certain generations. I don't know what Vietnam was. I wasn't born yet.
Yeah. Vietnam was another war based on lies.
This new shit is going to be something that's completely different. It's going to reshape how we move forward in this world. You dig?
I understand exactly what you're saying. I really, this is partially why I talk about the things I talk about, is because the only ones who can stop that from happening is us. And if we don't come together, it's going to be bad. So.
And I'm going to tell you, this is my last point. I know I said that before, but this is my last
It's all good.
The real shit here is this, bro. Disinformation has taken over the minds of the public, and the distrust in information is causing people not to understand where they actually stand in the world right now.
Mm-hmm. That's a complicated thing.
It's very complicated, dude, and it's almost insurmountable.
And most people aren't here right now. Most people are in the future or the past. Yeah. So
they're not in the present,
yeah.
and as of right now, you can't get someone you can't an alien can come down here and land and be talking to people and they be like, nigga, that's CGI, that ain't real.
Yeah.
That's not real, dude.
Yeah. And it could be standing right in front of them.
Standing right in front of you. They done cured cancer, they done cured AIDS, they done done it and cured blindness. They done done it all.
Or
they'd be like, nope, that's CGI, that's not real.
Or if they thought it was real, they'd shoot it to death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where we're at in society now, and we can't move forward if we don't have any trust amongst the public.
This is what I'm saying, is like the real problem isn't the people. You know, it's this misprogramming that you're talking about, the misinforming. It's all meant to divide it. It's all meant to leave us angry and tense and fearful. I just hear on the news, fear, 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 fear. Doesn't matter if it's local or national news. It's just fear, 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 fear. I'm like, what the fuck? You know how
they want you scared. They want people buying all these guns so that there's so many guns laying around, can't nobody keep track of them, and people are just shooting up people. That's what they want.
Yeah.
Because all they're gonna do is make a headline out of it and then scare the shit out of everyone else.
Right. They want you afraid more than anything. That's the reason I was saying don't buy into the hyped up fear. It wasn't so much that there wasn't going to be issues. It's that, you know, if you, my thoughts is when you buy into the fear, when you carry the fear with you everywhere you go, it's difficult to make the right decisions. And it's important to make the right decisions.
You got children scared to go to school.
Yeah. Well, no, if I had children and there was all this, you know, fear, 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 we're all going to die, you have to wear a mask, you have to get vaccine, there's no way I'd send the kids to school. There's no fucking way.
You got people scared to go to school. You got people scared to take a vaccine. And then you take a vaccine, they're like, oh, you need to get a booster shot.
It's never gonna end with those shots, bro.
It's never gonna end, and that's me personally. I haven't taken it. Right? And I don't intend to.
My body, my choice.
I took shots to play ball in school. I didn't get no booster shot for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that shit's
that booster shot shit's never gonna end, man. It's so weird too, because they coming out and they're saying, oh, well, you know, so and so is saying that we don't need a booster shot right now. You know, it's like
but they're telling you you're gonna need one
right now.
What they're gonna do is they're gonna give everyone a significant viral load, right? Because you could have a virus in your body, but if your viral load isn't high, your body will fight that shit off as if you never caught anything. It could be an STD, it could be a fucking pneumonia, it could be any of that shit. If your viral load isn't high, then you're not going to catch it. But if you keep getting booster shots of virus to protect you, eventually it's going to overload your system, and it's going to be one day when you get that one variant, and it's going to knock your ass.
That makes sense. You know, I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's how the science is designed.
Yeah.
That way, when you keep getting this strains in your system, and then you can fight off this, you can fight off this version, you can fight off this version. Same thing with the flu shot. You get a flu shot every year. All you're doing is putting a new strain of sickness in your body to protect against that one. And then you got one the year before to protect against that one.
Yeah.
And then it mutates soon, and then you get another shot. And before you know it, you got fucking 8% of your system is fucking flu.
Yeah. I don't get those flu shots, man.
Like
I've never got one.
Me neither.
Yeah.
You know, I don't play with that shit. But look, let's get another caller because I want to listen to some other shit, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, it's good to hear from you. Stay cool, bro.
All right, G.
Okay, I'm going to play a video and then we'll get to another caller. I'm going to start off with Kennedy and critical race theory, and I'll be right back. I need to go heat up my tea, so give me just a minute.
Well, summer break isn't over yet, but the debate about teaching critical race theory in schools is heating up. Now, actor and comedian John Leguizamo has jumped into the conversation, slamming CRT opponents and parents who don't want it taught to their kids. Here's part of his rant that he posted on social media. Watch.
So again, calm the down.
Oh, he swears. What a sinner. What he's really saying is parents are too dumb to understand CRT, and that's a bunch of hogwash. So how do we move past the debate about the debate and give parents a voice on what their kids learn in school? The party panel is back. It's a man panel. Charlie Hurt, Juan Williams, and Anthony Fisher. So, Charlie, they are teaching it in school. Randy Weingarten of the American Federation of Teachers said, yeah, no, we're totally embracing critical race theory. And in states where governors have proposed legislation to make it illegal, 5,000 teachers have signed on to continue to teach it. So the whole thing is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, these people, they're such idiots. And, you know, I would get it. You know, if for some bizarre reason schools were not teaching about slavery, not teaching about the civil rights movement, not teaching about our hard history, I would be all in favor of changing it and making sure that stuff was being taught, because it needs to be taught. It's part of our history, and it's great. But this is not what any of this is about. It's not about educating people. It's not about celebrating the tremendous victories that our country has had as it overcame some of the darkest, most difficult history that you could imagine. What this is about, it's about dividing people. And it's about making people hate one another and making people judge one another based on the color of their skin or their gender or whatever it is, as opposed to looking at a common history and all celebrating the good things that happened in the history and condemning the bad things that happened in our common history.
And I don't disagree with that. And Juan, you and I have had a lot of conversations about Black history and about Black Americans like Damon John, who have been total success stories and, you know, essentially come from very little to change the world. And that's great. And here's my problem is there are a lot of people, white, Black, Asian, Indian, who want to know Black history. They are inspired by Black music and Black culture, and they feel good about that. And now they're made to feel very bad about that. And I think that's turning the conversation into a negative direction.
I'm not sure how they're made to feel bad, but I don't think people are snowflakes. I mean, look, they can take a message, and it can even be a critical message. You know, with the case with the removal of Confederate monuments, people who didn't have voice or political power before are saying, hey, you know, these monuments are really tributes to people who wanted to tear the United States apart and continue slavery. And so the people say, well, wait a second, there's tradition, don't hurt my feelings, you know, this is my heritage. And there are other voices now that are loud enough to say no. And I think of it in that way. I don't think that, you know, to pick up on what Charlie was saying, you know, the fact that I'm sitting here with you guys, to me, is a sign of great progress. And I think we have to acknowledge it and appreciate it and celebrate it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that as you have a society that is more diverse, that people can't say, hey, you know what? Let's look at the history of housing or income inequality and look at how the
but to make sure we don't
differentiation is
repeat
very
that
real.
again,
That's not anything that's going to insult a kid.
Of what is perceived as my whiteness. Somehow I have intentions or I'm going to make choices based on your projection of something you call my whiteness. But Anthony, the problem I have here is the laws that are being passed in certain states that could go the opposite way. I think that is a very slippery slope, to use your term.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's perfectly reasonable for parents to have concerns about things that are kind of being lumped in the critical race theory umbrella. And I think both critics and supporters of critical race theory are being a tad disingenuous about what it exactly means. But for the lack of a better phrase, let's just say wokeness, anti-racism, critical race theory. I think it's perfectly fine for parents to say, we would like to get a little specific about what's being taught. The problem is in over a dozen states, exclusively introduced by Republican legislators, are bans on critical race theory in schools that are written so overbroad that they will ban a lot more things than critical race theory, and they actually won't get rid of critical race theory. One of the worst concepts in these bans is the idea that we need to ban divisive concepts. That's a quote, which, if you're talking about history,
you're absolutely right. And what should follow from that is parents should have the choice where to send their kids to school, and they should be able to take that tax money. That's where we need to go with this. If you want to keep your kids in public school and have them indoctrinated with all sorts of propaganda that has nothing to do with critical race theory, but it's very prevalent, then you can keep them there. If you want to move your kids to schools based in reason or rational thought, then have at it. Man panel, thank you, love you all. I kiss your faces, Charlie 1 and Anthony. I'm leaning in because I adore you. Thank you. Topical Storm is next.
I meant to let that play for a second. I like that music. Kennedy looks bored, but she's I like what she does. I'm gonna have a bong hit here if anybody wants to join me, and a fat puff. I like what she does mostly. Well, not mostly. I like the word mostly, especially using it at the ends of sentences. They come out at night. Mostly. This is what we're talking about. This is the division. This is what's going on in the world. It's just like, oh, this is necessary. And we have to come together or we're not going to be able to fix this. Hello, caller. Thanks so much for weighing in. I had trouble hearing what he was saying at first. Otherwise, I would have hung up a second earlier. All right. If anybody wants to join me in a fat puff, follow me and do exactly as you see. I love the way that weed tastes. Man, that's good. And it pumps me up. In case you haven't noticed. All right. Where were we? Oh, right. This has been my message over and over again, is that things don't have to be this way. We don't have to have the division. We don't have to have the never-ending fear. We don't have to have the incredibly negative programming. We don't have to have the pain, the suffering, the wars. We don't need that. You know who needs that? The rich people need that. Because that keeps us distracted from the real problem. Like wars, like people who make money off of war. that's a problem. I think any members of Congress that have made money off of war since 2001 that are still alive need to go to prison forever. And that's where we start. That's the tip of the iceberg. So, and they have to go to prison forever because they murdered people based on lies so they could make money. What now?
My name is O.J. Simpson.
No, it's not.
First time caller, long time listener in prison. Huge fan. Just wanted to call, let you know you're doing a great job out there. I try to help the world now as OJ, the new man that I am. And if you need...
Hey, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question, okay?
If you need a
let me ask you a question.
Let
me ask you a question.
Of course, you want to ask OJ a fucking question.
Yes.
Go ahead, sir.
What is Leslie Nielsen really like?
Okay, see, this is my lawyer. Next question.
No, I just want to know. I mean, I want to know about Leslie Nielsen. He seemed like an awesome guy.
You know, is that the only question you got?
Pretty much. I'm not a jock. I'm not a jock, so I don't got any football questions. You know.
Well, I'm trying to offer my sports knowledge as a legitimate news sports correspondent, OJ the fucking Simpson, and I don't have a job, so if you need me, I'm looking for work currently, and you know, I know all about sports and murder and shit. Whatever you need, I pretty much can do it all. I can, and you know, I can let you guys know about how fucking critical race theory issues and stuff too.
Nice.
You know, and
okay,
I can
OJ.
put my 2 cents in about that as well.
And we all value your 2 cents, OJ. So it's good to hear from you. I'm glad you're doing well, and you should call back sometime soon. Okay?
I will.
Good.
I will.
Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
I'm sure he'll be calling back anytime very soon. In case you all don't know that. I do. All right. So I have a bunch of videos that we haven't even come close to getting to yet. I want to play some of them for you, I think. Like the racism in soccer, right? Which we all saw over the weekend or whenever it was. But I wanted to share that with you because this is what I'm seeing. You know, it's this racism. White people, all white people are racist. You know, and again, when you say all this ethnicity of people are this negative thing, you could even say, honestly, you could even say something that's not negative or even something that's positive. And it's still a racist thing. Because you're saying all these people of this ethnicity, right? Which isn't something. All people of this ethnicity, to me, if you do this, are this, like this, that's a racist statement. I think, I could be wrong, but I think that's a racist statement. So, especially if it's a really negative thing, you know, all this ethnicity of people are criminals, right? We hear similar things to that. We hear stuff like that. Like I was saying, we've seen in the movies for generations and generations how, you know, the black guys are the guys that are going to hurt you. You know, they're the ones that are the bad guys. And I think that's a big part of the programming that goes right into your mind unconsciously. Because when people are watching their stories, watching their movies, watching their television series, they kind of open their mind into allowing you to enjoy the story as if this is real. These things are happening. That's the way your brain kind of perceives these things. And when you open up your brain like that, and there's this programming that goes along with, oh, look at this crazy adventure that's happening, right? The programming that goes along with that you don't even detect because you're too busy enjoying the storyline or whatever it is, whatever the parts of the movie is that you like, you know, the girls in bikinis, the whatever it is, you know, I don't know. What I'm saying is they have this programming. You see a lot of military industrial complex programming. You see the fear programming. As I was saying, you see the propaganda programming, like when the night before the shock and awe campaign in Iraq in 2003, March 19th, which was my birthday, is my birthday. The shock and awe campaign that we saw the night before that, the night before the attack, I was watching a movie on the Sunday night movie on ABC, which I don't know if it's a big thing anymore, but back in the day when people watched television, that was, you know, Sunday night. Everybody's off on Sunday night. Everybody wants to sit down and enjoy something. And the Sunday night movie was a big thing, and they were playing Raiders of the Lost Ark, and the Raiders of the Lost Ark was like a 25-year-old movie, and I'm like, why are they playing this movie that's so old on Sunday night, you know, on the big movie night? And not that it's not a good movie, I'm just, you know, it didn't kind of click in my head. Usually they want like new movies that people might not have seen yet. So I was watching the movie, and all of a sudden there's all these Arab people in the movie, and they're working with the Nazis to make this thing happen. And that was the night before we attacked Iraq. And so I was wondering why, and then that happened, and I was like, this is the programming. This is the programming. It's everywhere. It's on all sides, all the sides, you know, and you might not even begin to notice it. Like I said, I saw Raiders of the Lost Ark maybe 2 or 3 times before I saw it that evening. I don't think I ever noticed, you know, how the Arabs were the bad people that were working with the evil Nazis. You know, I don't think I actually acknowledged that consciously in my brain. And this is what I'm talking about the programming. You know, the programming, when you open up your mind and you're just enjoying the adventure and the roller coaster ride, which is, you know, Raiders of the Lost Ark, you might not pick up on these little nuances of how Arab people are horrible. They're almost Nazis. They work with the Nazis. You know, you might not, and it just, after you do notice it, then you're like, is this a really good movie, or is this like a really good piece of propaganda? You know? And so it's not just this group. It's not just the criminals or the black people or the criminals, and, you know, that we see in the movies for decades and generations, you know. It's not just that. It's the war propaganda. It's just the never-ending fear and programming of division, right? And this allows, again, all the hardships in the world to continue. Because if we didn't have this thing that was dividing us constantly, never ending, more and more and more, if we didn't have that, we were able to come together, we could make anything happen. Ending hunger in the world would be like the snap of a finger. You know, not even 2 fingers, just one. Honestly, seriously, that would be just this. And why this being so basic, just to make sure everybody in the world has food? Why does that have to be so difficult a struggle? Because it doesn't have to be. Again, it's programmed. They want the despair, right? They want us divided and hungry and angry, overworked and underappreciated. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mike.
Sup, G?
Good evening and salutations.
Thank you very much. Back at you.
I think everybody kind of looks at the issue a little bit wrong. Of course, you know, someone like Mike would say such a thing. But if you ask a geneticist what race is, I mean, you know what kind of answer you would get back? That there is not one race left on this earth.
Yes, there is. There's human race.
Which one is that?
The human race.
Yes, exactly. That's my point. The human race.
Right.
So the whole argument in itself is nonsense. Everyone has been brainwashed to believe a lie. Racism is a word that was made up to divide people.
Well, I don't think racism is necessarily made up. I do think that people judge people on the color of their skin. And
oh, yeah.
So it's a reality. The thing that's made up is, like you're saying, that there's different races, you know? And this is what I keep saying. Racism isn't a white person problem. Racism is a humanity problem, okay? It's everywhere throughout humanity. And if we can recognize that, then we may have this little tiny bit of hope of getting over it. Because it's not that big a hurdle. We just have to recognize the reality of it.
Yeah, and this is not popular to say now. I'm over 50 years old here, and I was raised in North Carolina. I know a little bit about the KKK because as a child, I was in that environment. After a while, we moved to Georgia, where I'm at now, and I learned really quick that the KKK nonsense was nonsense, and this was as a child. So it's beyond me why grown people are still having problems with this sort of concept in itself. And when a lady walks down the street and she sees a black guy walking across the street and she grips her purse a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now, is that because she's racist, or is that because she's been mugged before, or is it because it's a man? Or is it because the shoe colors scare her? And everyone jumps really quick to, oh, it's because I'm black, or oh, and I have a beard like you, and you know we get judged out in public ourselves, right? You know, you see the side.
I've had exactly that same thing happen from a black lady when I was crossing the street, and she locked her door because I was crossing the street. You know. Yeah. And I remember Barack Obama talking about how he himself has walked through a department store and felt a store detective following him and watching him. You know, the second I walk into Nordstrom's or Macy, from the time I get 20 feet from the front door, there is somebody following me, and they're acting like, oh, I'm shopping, I'm not looking at you.
It's not because. It's not because they're black. It's not because you're Asian. It's because of the fucked up way everybody's living right now. You don't know who you can trust. You know, you don't know who's going to stab you in the back. You know, you can't even trust your own mother in this day and age for a lot of people, you know. So it's a rough world we live in, and there's excuses that we give ourselves to try to make it a little easier. I think racism is one of those. Everyone has, you know, the ability to use discernment, but not everyone does. And when they do, often it's wrong. And I'm probably wrong myself in this because, I mean, is it wrong for a Chinese family to want to remain a Chinese family?
I don't think so, but I don't really know. I mean, it's wrong if you want to keep your daughter from marrying who she wants to marry, regardless if they're Chinese or if they're, if your daughter wants to marry another woman, it's wrong to try and keep her from having that freedom. And it will only backfire on you to try. So,
Yeah.
but,
you gotta think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Everyone doesn't kind of think that way. And you got people who, will
Oh, yeah,
fear
I
and
know.
worship their ancestors,
Yeah.
and they have to live for their ancestors. So it would be a shame for me to let you mix as a white man with my daughter, and he might really like you, and he might think you're a great guy, but
Yeah.
they just can't do that. Now, is that racist?
People that are religion are the same way, But I don't necessarily think that that's racist. I can understand why.
For white guys, it is.
What's that? Oh well,
But if the
I'm
white
not
guy
saying
does
that.
that,
I'm not saying that. Look, you didn't say Asian people. What you said was Chinese. So you're not talking about a whole white guy and a whole ethnicity. You're talking about Chinese people, and I think I think there's this huge amount of programming that goes in there. So if you go look, Chinese people. Like I said, racism is a humanity problem. And if you go, Chinese people are the best people, it's easy to understand why you might think that way, especially since they have a 10,000-year-old culture, and that's hard to make up for.
Well, the people of China is going through their own struggle right now.
For sure.
They're having to deal with CP, same sort of thing we're dealing with. Maybe a little worse, maybe a little better out here. I don't really know. I haven't been to China. I haven't been to backwoods of Georgia in a long while. And on that note, I'm a contractor, and I'm around all races, all ethnicities, all types of people. We get along with each other down here. I'm not really. I mean, I know there's some idiots with some signs up in their yards here and there, but I don't see that in my daily life here. Just so you know, it's maybe not as bad as they're portraying us down here in Georgia.
Yeah. Well, I see Black Lives Matter signs everywhere, but so you're in construction. Tell me, and you say you see all ethnicities. Do you see a lot of Asian people in construction?
Well, I have a few. It's less than anything else. He was a big old boy, and I think he was there to work out. I don't think he was necessarily there to. But yeah, not often, but yeah.
Yeah, somebody's remodeling the house behind us, and they have a crew of Asian people. They put on like a whole new section of the house and everything.
Yeah.
And they brought in this fucking giant I-beam, man. It's like it was solid steel, and it must have been 6 inches wide and 12 inches high. It was like, holy fuck! They brought a crane in to put it in there and shit. Like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'm just kind of a handy repair guy. I do floors and installations, that sort of thing. But yeah, we're around that sort of stuff all the time, and yeah, it's everyone. And we're all out there working on a job together. And most of the time, people don't have a chip on their shoulder. Somebody might say something a little off color, but normally it just flows over, and because it might not be the white guy saying something off color, and in that sort of environment, I think it's easier for people to realize, a little more about how things really are. We kind of need each other out there,
This is what I'm saying. All the problems in the world are because we're divided. This planet doesn't have to have all this misery, doesn't have to have, all this pain, all this suffering, all these wars. The only reason that is because of this programming that divides us. 100% the fault of humans, of the condition of our species in the planet right now, is because of the programming that divides us.
On so many levels, I feel like we're under attack.
Yep.
So what do we do about it? I always hear you saying, let's fucking get rid of the government aid, man. But what are we gonna do?
The only thing we can do is come together. We have to move beyond. We have to recognize the programming, recognize what it's there to do, which is, make you afraid. And if you're afraid, then it's easy to be, scared of other people. So you stay away from them, and you think bad things about them to reinforce your fear. And then there's all the programming that goes on top of that. Never ending programming. So
every day,
yeah, if we could just understand, everybody, if we just all had empathy for each other, and recognized that we all have a common enemy, and it's the people that are doing this programming and starting the wars and shit like that.
And how programmed are they, and where does that, where does culpability actually lie in that sense? Because, if they was raised to think that, hey, you are actually better than this person, and I'm not speaking on a racist level, I'm speaking about an elite level. These guys believe that they are meant to be our leaders. They're meant,
yeah,
to do whatever they want with us,
Right.
So if you're raised that way, how do you get through to someone like that? I don't see that anything you say to them is poppycock.
It's again this empathy thing, and the what you're talking about solely, the reason someone would be like that, the reason someone would look at another class of people as if they are ants, is because they have no empathy. And I've talked about this a lot. Empathy should be a 1-hour class that's taught in school from kindergarten until you're a senior in high school. Every day, empathy. And I think it would... What's that? I think that it would be a subject where you could just come up with the endless amount of information. So it's not like it would become boring or repetitive. It's just like, and how could we help this situation? And what is it you think's happening here? And it would be this major thinking thing. And if you started at a very, very early age and kept it solid as a regular thing, the planet would be an entirely different place.
Yeah. Well, that used to be the parents' job, to teach these sorts of things. But like I said, if the parents don't know, I don't know where the responsibility will actually lie, at the end of it all. I'm kind of a believer in something. I'm not sure what, but at the end of it all, I'm sure we're all going to be told something.
It's gonna, whatever's gonna happen. We can only, hope for the best and try our best to bring consciousness to, a better direction, because, it's really obvious where all the pain and suffering is coming from on the planet. It's really obvious. And why that's not the focus. Why aren't we focused like a laser? Okay, what's the top issue? All the pain and suffering around the world. All right, where's it coming from? The U.S. government, obviously.
Well, I don't know about that either. Maybe it's even further back than that.
I agree with you there too.
I've thought about things for a while myself.
Yeah,
I've got some gray whiskers myself.
The billionaires.
The government or the elite that's always been there.
Yeah, the super rich. They own the government, right? And if the government wasn't submitting to their will, then I don't think they would have nearly as much control of the planet as they currently do, which brings it back around to the facts that it's the government that's the problem. Because then instead of standing with the people, we the people, they choose to stand with the 1/10 of 1%, who have the money, and that's why it's the government that's the problem. Go ahead.
It's a big club and you ain't in it.
Yeah, I don't think it's that big. I don't think it's that big a club.
Yeah. All right, now. Well, it's been a good show, I believe. I really appreciate some of them callers. They sparked me to give you a call and let you give you my 2 cents. So,
right on.
There you go.
Well, you should call more often.
All right, bud.
All right. All right.
I don't have time much. Like I said, I'm a contractor. I'm usually not up this late.
Oh, I hear you. A man's got to have priorities. Damn it.
Yes, sir.
All right.
You have a good night.
All right, stay cool.
Yeah.
And again, I don't think it's like he was saying, I don't think necessarily all the problems are coming just from the U.S. government. But if we're, I think just so many of them have over the last 20 years, or the last 20 years, and so much longer. I've talked about how the U.S. government is solely responsible for cannabis being illegal around the world. And I will stand by those facts and debate anybody on it. The U.S. government is solely responsible for cannabis being made illegal around the world, and how much, how did that hurt the human psyche around the world? From having this amazing renewable resource that everyone should be able to recognize, whether you're a stoner or not. You should be able to recognize 50% of the pesticides used in this country, in the United States, are used on cotton. You need 0, more or less, pesticides to grow hemp, which has been illegal for generations in this country. The fabric you get is softer and more durable than cotton. So, and it grows faster and all these other things. Bigger, you get a much bigger yield. So why are we doing this other thing? Because cannabis is this evil thing, right? Who set that up? Who put that in motion? Our government. Our government. Our government. And so many other evil things. Like I said, just the last 20 years. Just the last 20 years, what our government has been is clearly just a force for evil. And it's not just around the world, it's in our own country. Our government is causing the vast majority of despair and pain and hunger around the world. Because instead of having a priority to help fix the world, we keep trying to break it more. And the people that are supposed to be fighting for freedom keep finding new and new and new ways to hold you down. This government's got to go. And tomorrow night we'll have an even bigger discussion on that. Something I'm sure the FBI will very much want to listen in on. Because they made a big old statement today, and we'll get to that tomorrow. I'm going to play a video now, because that is what I do. This video is about racism in soccer. I didn't play that one yet, did I? Did I? I think I did. We'll play something else. Let's see. Talking about racism being a human problem.
Trump won the election. Among the suspects' possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer's saying this is...
That one piece of evidence of his state of mind, that he thinks he could get away with anything because of his skin color. Is that guy that big a nut job? He believes he could get away with anything because of his skin color. How more divisive can you possibly be? Why is it that someone in Don Lemon's position wouldn't want to do everything in his power to bring people together? To end this bullshit racism garbage and move to a better tomorrow with all together, so that we can have again, this paradise that the world, why wouldn't he want that? Again, he's one of these very, very rich pieces of shit, stupid ass motherfuckers. This is real, a fake white privilege card. Again, misinformation, misprogramming, negative programming. The white privilege card, which Craig is giving away with any donation of $10 or more. The white privilege card was created by a black man. Now, I called him an African American gentleman before, and I think that might be racist because there's Jamaican Americans, there's Haitian Americans, you know, so he's a black man. The person who invented the white privilege card trumps everything, very funny, was a black man. So, and I thank him. And if you'd like to get your own white privilege card, if you send a $10 donation or more, we'll send you out a Mox News media package, and your own white privilege card will be contained, along with Mox News stickers and Mox News business card and a My Cock for President postcard talking about the 5 top reasons to vote for My Cock. And this is the world we live in. And so many people are living this victim culture, you know, where this is part of the division, right? They're looking for someone to point the finger at because they've been victimized. And they don't want to get that they've been victimized by the government. We all have this one fucking enemy in common. And it's not you against you. And they've got you convinced that it is. And I may just be droning on about this. And I probably will for a long, long time to come. Because I don't want it to be this way. And I hope that other people don't want it to be this way either. I hope that other people want to try and repair the damage that's been done. It's, again, racism is a humanity problem. It's not a white person problem. It's a humanity problem. It's happening around the world in all the different cultures. And see, if we could recognize that instead of saying, all these people are the racist. Not anyone else in the world. No one else in the world are racist. But this group of people, they're all racist. And if that's not a racist statement, you know, I don't know what is. That being said, racism is a humanity issue. And not being able to recognize it as such is the programming of division. And this is what they're trying to do most of all. And it's so easy to recognize it if you just step back and say, what is the problem here? What are these problems? How do we fix these problems? Well, first you recognize, you know, look, I say again and again, a man has got to have priorities. A man has got to have priorities. I don't know, it's probably like a Clint Eastwood line, like Dirty Harry or something. But I'm not sure. It might be my own line. That being said, look, we can come together and we can make anything happen. Or we can stay separated, buy into the programming from, you know, what, MK Ultra or whatever, you know, Operation, what's that press one? Operation, I can't think of it. There's one about the press. It's a CIA operation, Anyway, it's all about the CIA controlling the dialogue in the press. So, you know, I just don't want to buy into the division and the hate and the sorrow and the pain in this world. I just look at it and I say, it doesn't have to be this way. And maybe it wouldn't bother me so much if I knew it didn't have to be this way. You know, if this is just the way it is and this is the way it's always going to be, you know, then what's the point? Beyond that, you know, I don't know that I still wouldn't want to try and find the good and share the good. Because, as I've said again and again, part of the contract when you come here is that there's always going to be something right in front of you to enjoy. It's just part of the deal. It's one of those universal things, like for every action there's equal and opposite reaction. It's one of these built-in things on this planet. There's always going to be something, pretty much always, right in front of you to enjoy. If you're just in this moment and your eyes are open, or your awareness is up of this moment, and you're willing to allow yourself to enjoy something. It's, you know, one of the other kind of universal things here is that there's always humor. Almost always there's humor. So, I mean, you see a lot of these dark comedies, you know, where these horrible things are going on, but it's kind of like, you know, there's this comedy underlying. There's always humor. It's just a matter of you being open to it and you know, being in the moment, being able to allow yourself to enjoy it. So, you know, anyways, this is a call-in show. There's the telephone number on the screen, 805-669-6397. Do you think all white people are racist? Do you? Because so far, it seems most of the discussion has said, no, I don't believe that. That being said, like I said, I may or may not be racist. I'm not going to, because of all the programming that sneaks into you, you know, I'm not going to say that there's nothing that I do that might not be looked upon as a racist thing. I do my best not to do acts consciously of racist type acts. I just, that's not, like I say again and again, I take every single person as an individual. It's the planet I want to live on. What's up?
Michael, this is Steve McClanahan. I got breaking fucking news.
Who?
I've gotten to the bottom of this news.
Who is it?
And yes, this is Steve motherfucking McClanahan, motherfucker. Oh my God, Michael. Listen to me. I swear to fuck God, I've been down here in the goddamn fucking wilderness trying to figure out, getting to the bottom of all this fucking bullshit. And yes, every single fucking white person that exists on planet fucking Earth, ladies and gentlemen, is fucking racist. It's fucking literally amazing, folks. And I'm telling you, I'm breaking the fucking news right now. We've gotten to the story, Michael. We have the headline. Everybody in the street is correct. Every single fucking white person is currently racist. Whether they like it or not. Ladies and gentlemen, we're doing it. We're doing it live. Whether you like it or not. Fuck it. I swear to God, Michael, I am fucking breaking the fucking news. Literally, every single fucking white person currently needs to try to be less fucking white. Michael, oh my God. It's fucking breaking news, Michael. How do you feel about yourself? Look at your skin color and tell me how you feel.
All right, thanks for the breaking news. It's always good to hear from you. As far as, I had a video. I have a video that says, the person asks, what about being white makes you proud? I don't know what the question is. An odd question. What about being white is a good thing? Something like that. And I'll play that video for you in just a minute. Mark Lamont Hill. He got kicked off CNN. I'm not sure why he got kicked off CNN. Probably some kind of racism. But he's working at the Black News Channel now. And I have a clip from him from earlier, and it's something about whiteness. It's a pretty long clip. I actually broke it into 2 segments, so I'll play that for you. I'm gonna play that for you now and go heat up my tea since I don't have any callers. The number's right there on the screen. I'll be back momentarily, and we can have a discussion about this or not. It's up to you. I can just go take bong hits. I don't need you for that. I'm very good at it on my own. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be right back.
Last May, I interviewed Christopher Rufo. He is the mastermind behind the GOP attacks on critical race theory. And towards the end of our insightful discussion, I asked him a question. It was particularly if you're saying whiteness is a thing that is being constructed as negative and shouldn't be, name something positive that you like about being white.
My view is that these are actually should be ascribed to every individual human being. Every individual human being, regardless of whatever racial category we impose on them.
That doesn't answer the question, though.
I don't buy into the framework that the world can be reduced into these metaphysical categories of whiteness and blackness.
After that clip went viral and really made a lot of people in right-wing media upset, conservative commentator Liz Wheeler chimed in on Twitter. She called out my question. As you see here, she said, where did I call out Mark Lamont Hill and break down the history of critical race theory all the way back to its Marxist roots? She asked to come on the show to discuss this. And I responded how it's fascinating that it's every single one from the right has ignored my question's underlying argument, that they refuse to self-critically engage whiteness. So in that spirit, I invited, she said yes, and we are now joined by Liz Wheeler. She is the host of the podcast, The Liz Wheeler Show. Liz, welcome to the show. Tell me, what made you want to come on Black News tonight?
Mark, thanks so much for having me. I actually think it's a really fun thing when you can engage with people on Twitter and it leads to a productive conversation. And I think you're one of the people on the other side of the aisle who talk often about critical race theory, talk about racial issues. And I thought it would be fun to have a conversation about it since we seem to disagree on critical race theory.
What do you think we disagree on?
I think we disagree on several things. So if you trace the history of critical race theory back to where it originated, if you take it not just to critical legal studies, but all the way back to critical theory, which is a theory that was created at the Frankfurt School by Marxists at the Frankfurt School back in the 1930s, you see that this isn't really a perspective on history. This isn't really a theory at all. It's actually a tactic used to, with the intention at least, to start a Marxist revolution. But instead of Karl Marx's vision of a worker-led revolution, those adherents to critical race theory teach a sort of racialism to use racial minorities in our country as a vanguard to spark a Marxist revolution here in our country. They do that, as the name would suggest, critical theory, by relentless criticism of the institutions in our country, hoping to undermine them, tear them down, so that they can replace them with Marxist institutions instead. That's the history, that's the reality of critical race theory. And it seems that a lot of people on the other side of the aisle, yourself included, I believe, portray critical race theory as just being a perspective on history or teaching the not so good parts of the history of the United States, but you're missing the very big part, the fundamental part of critical race theory, and that is the fact that it's essentially Marxism.
Yeah, so I would push back against a lot of that for a few reasons. I mean, obviously there are influences and all sorts of influences, but the Marxist tradition doesn't loom nearly as largely for critical race theory as I think you would suggest. But of all the writings on critical race theory that I'm sure you've read, do any of them, can you name any, can you think of any that are calling for a Marxist revolution?
Sure. And I'm glad you brought this up because I really encourage everyone who watches my show, watches your show, to educate themselves about this. So if you go all the way back to the 1930s at the Frankfurt School, you can read Max Horkheimer's manifesto. He was the second director at the Frankfurt School who called for a Marxist revolution.
Critical race
it then
theories.
goes to
I'm saying
Antonio
critical race
Gramsci,
theories.
who was... Right. And I'll get to that. Absolutely. And I'll get to that. We just have to follow it all the way back through the critical race theory. So critical theorists come first. That would be Max Horkheimer and then Antonio Gramsci. He was the the head of the Communist Party in Italy. He's the one who said we need to re-educate a vanguard to spark this revolution. Then we have Herbert Marcuse, who was at Columbia University. As you know, he was the assistant, actually, of Max Horkheimer, came to the United States when Horkheimer escaped the Nazis in Germany, but Marcuse stayed back here in the United States. Then we get to Derek Bell. Then we get to Kimberly Crenshaw. Then we get to Robin DiAngelo. Then we get to Ibram X. Kendi. All of these critical race theory adherents are practicing this idea that we need to relentlessly criticize institutions in the United States, in our government, in our culture, in our society, in order to tear them down, to implement instead socialist or Marxist institutions. So all you have to do is read the scholarship of these people to see that it actually is Marxism. So I'm glad you brought that up, and I hope that your viewers do educate themselves and do read this material. And I would ask you, have you read Max Horkheimer's manifesto?
So yes, I've read Max Horkheimer's work, all of the Frankfurt School work, including Horkheimer, Theodore Adorno, etc. But what you've done here is a bit of a sleight of hand. I asked you to explain where in critical race theory is there a call for a Marxist revolution, and then you named people who weren't critical race theorists. And then after you ended that line of intellectual lineage, you then said, and there's Derek Bell and all these other people, and you said it started then and it goes to here. But my question still remains, of the people who are critical race theorists, right? And I would dispute you on Ibram Kendi and Robin DiAngelo, neither of whom identifies critical race theory or whose work is situated in critical race theory, although they may support and think that it's an important body of work. They themselves are actually not that. But I don't want to get distracted by that. The fundamental question I had for you was, what critical race theorists, not people who you think are intellectually connected to them from a century ago, but what critical race theorists do you know that has called for a Marxist revolution?
Right. So I think it's important to make a distinction, too, that someone can practice critical race theory without teaching critical race theory. And that's what we see from people like Robin DiAngelo or Ibram X. Kendi or the 1619 Project. Those are the tenets of critical race theory applied to their body of work. And I'm sure that they would admit the same thing. That's not simply my opinion on the fact. But let's talk about a specific issue. So Marxism, the tenets of Marxism are anti-capitalism, right? They think that capitalists are the elite, that capitalism is immoral, that capitalism should be abolished.
One second, just because, one second, Liz.
Listen to what I'm saying, because this is a very important point that I'm making. It'll get to your answer in just a second. Just listen to what I'm saying. So I promise you that this will answer your question if you let me finish this.
All right, so I have part two. I have part two of that interview. If you want to see it, if you'd like to see part two of that news segment, let me know and I'll play it for you. I have it right here, ready to go. I just didn't want to do, 14-minute long video. I don't need a 14-minute long break. 7 minutes is plenty. I was able to make a whole new cup of tea and lie down and cuddle with my Boo Bear for almost 60 seconds. Let's see, where were we now? Right, I think we pretty much covered everything. Everything there is to cover about racism. As I was saying, it's programming, it's division, it's victimhood, it's there's this whole victim culture, and it doesn't matter if you're this ethnicity or this sex or this sexual orientation, it doesn't. It's just like almost no matter what, people are looking to be offended, basically. Oh, well, that's you know, you're a bad person because you just said something, because you have a white privilege card. This is hilarious. Okay, it's not not a piece of evidence to my state of mind that I can get away with anything. It's fucking hilarious. That's what it is.
That Trump won the election. Among the suspect's possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, you know, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he could get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer saying this is...
That one piece of evidence to his state of mind, that he could get away with anything because of his skin color. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, that's crazy. If you, I actually, you know, I like to travel around. I've been in some very interesting places where, you know, wow, like I'm the only white guy. It's like it's a wake up call. It reminds you how other people feel when they're in your space, and I never needed anything more than that. I got it early. I got it often. So I didn't. I mean, I don't know. It's bizarre to me that the whole world even has to go through this conversation at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, we've been doing this. I mean, I know there's been trouble. There's been horridness.
But we're here now.
Race? I don't know. Race, you know, doesn't rise to the level of war for me.
Like you said, there's been horrors. There's been all these horrible things that have happened. We're here now.
Yeah.
We're here now.
Yeah.
And we can all work together to make it better, or you can just continue the division and horrific things will continue to happen.
Well, yeah, and I think that the anyone who has any kind of theory, I don't even really care. I don't care about particulars. If any person has a theory about, hey, there's some kind of conspiracy that wants to start these race wars, I think that has validity right from the get-go, because humanity doesn't have a reason to do it. Like, humanity really doesn't want that. So who would want that? Like, it's not the people. I really don't think it is the people. I don't think people in general want a race war. So you have to put that in there, and you have to grind it and sift it and, you know, disperse it onto the population. I don't think that it naturally occurs at all. I mean, I'm just saying that from, you know, my perspective of just basic study of humanity. I don't run into people that are I do run into people that are programmed, but I don't run into like, I've lived with illegal aliens. And I've lived with black neighbors. No, I did. That's the best time I ever had. Oh my God, they're my family. Like, that was my family. I'm not even kidding you, dude. When you don't have water and you just live in a little shack, that's your family, man. Yeah, no.
No, I'm just laughing because I'm sure that some people would consider that to be, you know, the thing. They hate the term. Who you call them? They hate the term illegal. Now, illegal is.
Oh. Well, at the time, this was back in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, that was the term. I mean, these guys, you know, couldn't go out in public, so everything has to be done for them. I don't know. Whatever. I just think I haven't run across it. You know, even if I'm in a room, I was in a room full of black guys and we're all playing poker, and there was a couple of guys who didn't like it when I was brought into that room, and they stood up. But the guys who, the older people in that situation, they were like, no, you shut up. You sit down. You're being an asshole. Stop it, you know. And they're like, come on, he's cool, you know, sit down. And it's like, but being the only white person in the room is a very interesting, you know, place to be. I don't think it happens a lot for people. I really don't.
Try being the only white guy in a room full of black girls. That is some freaky shit right there.
Oh, you're just going to be a treat.
That is some freaky shit right there, man.
Yeah, that would be a treat. I would actually dig that. That's really cool. That sounds like did you have that personal experience?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was high as fuck. We were getting high as fuck. You know, we were hanging out and getting high as fuck, and I was just like... And I remember the TV was on and a tampon commercial came on TV and I just started losing it, man. I just started laughing my ass off. And I was like,
you can't make this shit up.
I gotta go.
That's hilarious, dude. That is good. That's, you know, and that's what I think people need. It's like, if you have that experience, it becomes laughable to you. You know, it becomes like, race? Oh, why are we doing this again? You know, it's like, and I understand that, you know, no, I don't deny any history. I'm just saying, like, what do we have right now, today? If you walk out on the street, what are the experiences of people over the last 20, 30 years when you go out and just travel around, man? And are you kidding? Nobody travels to a place where there's the same race as them. Like, everybody travels all over the world. There's no will or desire of humanity to start a race war. That is a very select, small agenda that should be pretty easy to pinpoint, I would think. I
agree. I think
it's easy to pinpoint.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of people that don't. So even if you just use the process of elimination, it should be pretty easy to get to.
Yeah, you just have to look at who benefits from the division, and that's pretty clear.
Exactly. Like assassinations, you know, throughout history, even in the U.S. The assassinations, if you just eliminate who got assassinated, or the guys that don't get assassinated, you know, you're probably getting pretty close. All you got to do is who didn't get assassinated.
Yeah.
All right.
I used to use it all the time in the titles. There's a Latin phrase called cui bono, and it means
cui bono.
Yeah, who benefits?
If you were early on that one, you can claim credit definitely because that's a pretty popular internet.
I'm not looking to claim anything. It's just something that I used in the titles a lot.
Well, yeah.
It makes people, it puts that instant wonder in their mind. Yeah, who is benefiting from this? They might not even think it. They might just look at the news and go, you know, okay, so this is the facts of what's happening. But you know, they're talking about chemical labs in fucking Iraq, you know. Oh, aluminum tubes and yellow cake. Who benefits? Who benefits? You know, it's all lies.
Is that French, the cui bono?
It's Latin. I believe it's Latin.
Oh, it's Latin? Yeah, well.
Hey, it's good to hear from you, Dave. I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to play. I got a ton of videos I still got to play. I'm glad that you called in to let us know. You know, this is the discussion, an important discussion that we need to have, and you know, all the voices matter. So I'm looking forward to talking to as many people. This is what the show is all about. You know, is being able to talk to all these people and get everybody's input and go a more positive direction than we're headed right now. Come to a better understanding than where we are right now. Go ahead.
I think your show is completely underrated. You allow anybody to call in and speak their opinions, and it's fresh, man. I can't believe that more people are not calling because I don't know.
Well,
You know, everybody gets triggered because somebody else's opinion is different than theirs. And it's like, oh, I can't be there, you know. And it's like, well, wait a minute. If you stay long enough, you're going to find out that, wait a minute, this is just one of the last few places that allow all opinions. And if you're at all lucid, I mean, you don't even have to be lucid. You can be cool. Yeah, I think Fox News is an icon of the internet myself, but whatever.
we were at one time, I'll tell you that.
Still are. I think still are. You know, I don't know. I wish there was more of this. I really do. More of everybody has to. In the old times, the way this place was formed, there wasn't a lot of people here. By the way, it was a small number of people. And they had to form these town halls, and you have to come to and everybody can come and do their little stuff. That's how the whole thing began, and I think that's where it's all going to have to end up. Is everybody has to have their say, and when you start chopping that off and saying, "Oh, only if you want to do this or that," yeah, they're like, that's not. No, that's not democracy. True democracy is everybody gets a chance. And if somebody's an asshole and they show up and everybody in the room says, get out of here, then they have to get out of there. It's the way it works. That is the way it works in a town hall meeting.
Yeah, it's this thing. Look, it's this humanity thing. You know, racism isn't a white person problem. It's a humanity problem. And if we could just recognize that instead of trying to divide even more by going, those people and those people alone are the problem. Sound familiar? Maybe Nazi Germany, something like that? I don't know. Sounds kind of like that to me.
Yeah. I again, the only response I generally have to any racism thing is, look, when I go out into the world and I blend with all the people that are out there, I just don't find it. I do find it with some, if they're activists, you know, like in certain activist circles in any race, but I don't find it generally. And I don't think that that's any intention or thing that's going on with humanity. I think it's in order to bring it into the conversation, in order to push it to the point where people have to talk about it, I think it has to come from a very few select people. I don't think that it can just organically start manifesting. It's not a thing. It's like when we go into the swamp, we look at the turtles, we look at the, you know, we look at the frogs, we look at all these things. No, there's so many different species, and humanity is no different, and I don't think it's a thing. No, I think somebody has to push it in order to make it a thing.
We all have to push it.
And I think that those people should be pretty easy to pinpoint.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just repeating myself now, so I'll let you go. I gotta go.
Okay, Dave, it's good to hear from you. Stay cool, man.
All right, Max. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, so, and, I don't know, do you guys want me to play that second part of the Lamont Hill video? Because I can. I have it right here. It seems to me obvious what the problem is. And it seems to me obvious that the people on this side know what the problem is, because they're not really protesting the people on this side. They're protesting the government, saying, hey, government, why aren't you being this way, right? And the people on this side, they're not protesting the people on the other side. They're protesting the government. They're saying, hey, government, why are you so fucked up? And if we could just really recognize that we're both sides are saying the same thing, you know? Government's horrible. We have to fucking get a better government. Right? Isn't that what both sides are saying? So why can't we recognize that the division is bullshit? The division is built in. The division is programmed. The division only serves the people at the top. Why can't we recognize that? I'm just saying. Let's see. Should I play part 2 of the Lamont Hill? Yeah, play it. Okay, I'll play it. I can do that. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I'm going to play part 2 of the Marc Lamont Hill interview about whiteness.
Hold on, one second, Liz.
Listen to what I'm saying, because this is a very important point that I'm making.
But
it'll get to your answer in just a second. Just listen to what I'm saying. So I promise you that this will answer your question if you let me finish this. So capitalism is a tenet of our country, right? The free market economy is what makes America great. Marxism is anti-capitalist. So when you're looking at these scholars and you're looking at any number of the ones that I talked about, you see this critique of capitalism. You see this desire to abolish capitalism. They actually equate, many critical race theorists equate capitalism with white supremacy. They want to abolish capitalism. So as you know, when people are trying to spark a revolution, they focus on the tenets of how they're doing that. So if you want to know how it's applied, you look at these institutions. You say, okay, the nuclear family, okay, capitalism, okay, religious liberty, okay, the criminal justice system. You look at these tenets of American government, and it's more than that. It's the border, it's the Senate, it's all these different institutions that underpin our government and our society that these critical race theorists criticize and want to overturn. As I said, it's very important to contextualize what we're talking about, to give the full information to the viewers that we're talking to trace the history back to those that said, this is a Marxist tactic, this is how we're going to implement Marxism, and now we're watching that unfold.
So again, I would not agree with the sort of connections you're making, but again, and we're running a little bit out of time here, but you still have yet to name, you said that critical racists are calling for a Marxist revolution. Would it be fair to say that in actuality what you're saying is they're making critiques of society that you think will lead to a structural change? Is that a more accurate assessment? Because you have yet to name anyone who's actually called for a revolution.
No, they are applying a theory.
Most of the critical race theories,
they're applying a theory that is a Marxist theory.
So again, I would dispute that it's a Marxist theory or that they apply the theory, because one of the things you have to understand, I think, is that most of the tenets of critical race theory, most of the deepest tenets of critical race theory have been offered and made by other traditions, other intellectual traditions, other scholars, and certainly not exclusive to the Marxist tradition or even primarily the Marxist tradition. So I would definitely disagree with that. But I want to get your sense on a quote
if I may respond to that,
from Christopher. Well, no, just in the interest of time, I have to move on. I only have 2 minutes, and I'm fighting to get those 2 minutes, Liz. Christopher Rufo, who is one of the leading opponents of critical race theory, he's leading the charge. He's carrying the flag for this. He said, "We have successfully frozen their brand, critical race theory, into the public conversation and are steadily driving up negative perceptions. We will eventually turn it toxic as we put all of the various cultural insanities under that brand category. The goal is to have the public read something crazy in the newspaper and immediately think critical race theory. We have decodified the term and will recodify it to annex the entire range of cultural constructions that are unpopular with Americans." When you hear, it sounds like what Chris predicted is what's happening in this conversation, right? That we're taking anything that we don't like, anything that raises anxieties of Americans, we're dumping it into a single pile and saying that's critical race theory, and everybody should be afraid of it. It feels very similar to what we did with liberation theology 8 years ago when we were trying to scare people about the Obamas, or 12 years ago. It feels very much like a moral panic designed to get people into polls to vote against, particular political interests, than it does an actual intellectual critique. Because in many ways, this feels like a solution in search of a problem. I still don't see the revolution. Most critical race theorists that I know, in fact, everyone that I've read, they're not calling for Marxist revolution. They're not calling for overthrowing capitalism. They're calling for reforming markets. They're calling for challenging institutions, for reimagining society. I wish they were as radical as you say they are. But I'd like to get your take on that Rufo quote. I want to give you an opportunity to respond to that.
Sure.
Rufo says, dump everything in. Do you agree?
Sure. So I think it's important, again, not to talk in generalizations and not to be vague here, to give specific examples so that nothing is misunderstood. So let's talk about a tenet of critical race theory that's being taught right now in an Evanston school district in the state of Illinois. It's a book called Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. And in this book, white people are portrayed as the devil actually tempting children with so-called whiteness. And it's obviously racist. It's portraying everyone who has a certain color of skin as being the devil. This book is not only taught to kindergartners, by the way, in the state of Illinois, it's taught to 4th and 5th graders in the state of Pennsylvania. And Mark, honestly, it doesn't matter what you want to call this. You can call it critical race theory because it's the outgrowth of critical race theory. You can call it racialism because it's a tool to implement Marxism, or you can call it abject racism, which is exactly what it is. That's what parents don't want in our country. And this is my question. Do you think that that's appropriate to teach in American schools?
I mean, that's a wonderful question.
Do you think that's appropriate to teach in schools?
Yeah, no, I don't think it's appropriate to teach in schools, nor do I think it's appropriate to just call it critical race theory. And even you yourself are implicitly conceding that point. You're saying, well, you can call it critical race theory, you can call it racialism. I could call it a hand mirror, but it doesn't make it one, right? So just because we throw labels on things doesn't make it that thing. It would be like if I went to every KKK rally and said, you know what?
Let me explain. Let me explain.
That's Republican doctrinism. That's MAGA. That's this. You would be very frustrated with that, and you would say that it's an inaccurate assessment. That book, that tradition that you talk about has absolutely no root.
In this case, that's not a good analogy, because critical theory, so going back to critical theory teaches that there's no objective truth, right? That there's just competing narratives. And they teach that the worker class isn't going to rise up against the elite class to overthrow the government, to implement Marxism. Listen to what I'm saying. This is an important point that I'm making. This is an important point that I'm making. If you want to have a productive conversation, I think you're going to be interested in this.
I am interested in it, but what I'm asking is,
Herbert Marcuse identified racial minorities in America. Herbert Marcuse, a critical race theory scholar, as you know, identified racial minorities in the United States
is not a critical race
as
scholar.
the vanguard, the new vanguard, the new worker, to usher in a Marxist revolution. To do this, you have to use this racialism, use this racial divide as a tool to paint all white people as inherently racist. Do you believe that? Do you believe all white people are inherently racist?
So I don't know if you're backing me into a corner with that question, but yes, I do. I do believe that all white people are at some level, at the unconscious level, connected to racism. It's unavoidable. I think all men are sexist at some level. I think that is absolutely the case. But you said that Herbert Marcuse was a critical race theorist. That's simply untrue. That's ahistorical and inaccurate. Anyway, I got to go. I'll have you back, I promise. I got to take a commercial. Thank you for joining me. Everybody, stay with us here at Black News Tonight. Let us.
There's the title for tomorrow night's show. He said, I think all men are sexist on some level. I think that's a great, are all men, he said, I think all men are sexist. Are all men sexist? Are all white people racist? Are all men sexist? I gotta write that down. Actually, I have a different title for tomorrow, but I'm going to do that one. Are all men sexist? Very soon. Not all men, just this one. And, you know, it's not like I'm trying to be sexist. I'm just not trying to be sexist. Or not trying to be sexist. I don't know. I think that there's, again, this problem where we're dividing, people, dividing down these lines. There's the men. The men are the problem. The white people are the problem. And they're this problem because they do this. Everybody does stuff, and it's not like they're necessarily conscious of it. That's what he also said right there at the end. He said, yes, I do believe all white people are racist. I don't think that they're all conscious of it. So, this is what I'm saying. There's this programming that goes on. This, and not that he thinks that all white people are racist, but the programming of, the movies portraying black people as, the bad guy. Over and over and over again for decades and decades and decades and decades, right? This is the programming that goes in, if not the conscious brain, the unconscious brain. As he's saying, I don't think all white people are conscious of the fact that they have this racism inside of them. So, and that's the programming. And this is the discussion that needs to be had. Not that white people are bad or these people are bad. Because when I say the racism problem is a humanity problem, humanity has a racism problem. It's not white people. It's humanity that has a racism issue. Humanity has a racism issue. So when you say, oh, all white people are racist, it's like you're saying, oh, white people are bad, right? But if you look at it from the standpoint where you say, humanity has a racism problem, then you're not going to go, oh, well, because humanity's bad, right? We recognize the actual problem and the size of the problem, what it engulfs, and then we can actually deal with the problem instead of pretending that it's these people's issue over here, right? Because that's pretending. That's a lie. Not only is it a lie, it's racist. So let's get over the bullshit here. And let's go to the root of the problem. The root of the problem being humanity has a racism issue. Not white people, humanity. And I think, I don't know, do people ever describe it in those terms? You know, I think when it's shown to you in those terms, you can go, oh yeah, humanity, he's right. Humanity does have a racism issue. It's not just this one group. It's around the world. It's been there for a long time. And if we can recognize that, maybe we actually could do something about it. Maybe. But if we just blame it on this one group, you're not going to fix a fucking thing. So so you're not too disappointed in the future when not a fucking thing changes. You get the race war that the rich people want. Instead of us all coming together to address the real issue, which is that humanity has a racism problem, which us coming all together would be moving in a direction away from that. And it's what I call for in every fucking show. Whether it's us being, again, there's this, you want to divide things down into these races. And I know it's probably racist to say this, but there's only the human race, and all these divisions that, again, labels, this label, this race, that race, all these divisions, all these separations of the people. Who does that benefit? Cui bono, right? Who benefits? And at that point, all these puzzle pieces should drop into place in your brain and go, yes, this is humanity. Yes, there's no reason for me to despise this person because of the color of their skin. To look at them and think, white devil. Or whatever. There's all these labels. The labels keep us divided. The labels keep us in this never-ending cycle that refuses to allow us to come together and build a better tomorrow. Because, like I said, we can do that if that was the priority. Instead of making war around the world, if the priority was to build a better tomorrow. Something tells me, with all you brilliant people out there, that we'd be well on our way to a better tomorrow if only that was the priority. If only that was a priority somewhere on the map. I don't see it. I don't see, our better tomorrow's becoming a reality because of Joe Biden's $100 trillion infrastructure project. You go, $100 trillion, oh my God, I'm not paying $100 trillion. Look, you already did it to build the U.S. military. And you know what? Tomorrow night's show, I'm going to point out that they want you to now rebuild it at triple the cost. Okay, so you spent $100 trillion, from which who's benefited? Again, cui bono, who benefits from building $100 trillion military? Who benefits from that? We don't need that in order to protect our shores. We don't need that in order to protect our shores. I'm telling you right now. And they're gonna over the next 2 years, just like the last, however many years, they're gonna tell you how our fighting capabilities are becoming obsolete. We have to be able to keep up with the Chinese and the Russians, because it has to be our priority, instead of making a better tomorrow for everyone. One step, build a proper 22nd century infrastructure. How brilliant and beautiful would that be? I don't think I've ever heard those words come out of any politician's mouth. 22nd century infrastructure. Why are there, again, I'm not this visionary person. I'm not some kind of brilliant thinker. This is basic logic. I'm a very simple guy. Basic logic. Making a better tomorrow. And why? Because we are all going to be part of that tomorrow. Whether I get to enjoy the $100 trillion infrastructure, 22nd century infrastructure, which I never will, but I get to know that we're taking in this a direction that's not just living in the 1950s for as long as possible and putting band-aids on this completely obsolete infrastructure and acting like somehow we're going to be competitive in the world. I want a better tomorrow, and not just for me. Hello, caller.
Hello, Adam from Arizona.
What's up, Adam?
I'm not figure I'd talk on the subject of racism.
Okay.
And so one of my better friends happens to be black, and he's an old timer. He's probably like 91, 92 years old.
Right on.
And he made me aware of someone who existed probably about maybe 300 years ago, maybe 400, I don't know. And the guy's name was Willie Lynch. And he had a type of a program how to separate the different types of slaves and get the slaves feuding amongst themselves according to their differences. And he would do this with the women against the men, and the lighter skinned slave against the darker skinned slave. And he suggested to me, he brought up a point the other day, and he said that the same thing might be, same kind of program possibly might be being done to the whole country now to enslave.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds pretty familiar.
Yeah, so if you ever have the time, Michael, look the guy's name up. His name's Willie Lynch. And when I looked him up, I was pretty surprised to read a lot of the things about him and what he was responsible for. Do I think all white people are racist? Absolutely not. No. I'm very proud of my friend that happens to be black, just like I'm very proud of my other friends. And each of my friends have their own resourcefulness and individual things that make them valuable. And diversity is okay, but sometimes when you get people pushing it to a certain point, they become apologists. And you see a lot of I see more self-hating than a prejudiced black person that I know.
Well,
It's the self-haters. It's the self-haters. That's what I'm saying.
I want people to come together, you know, and because that's our only hope of making a better tomorrow. So I think this racism shit goes both ways. You know, it's again, it's not a white person problem. It's a humanity problem. There's racism around the world with all cultures, and if we could recognize that, maybe we could actually, you know, work on solving the issue.
I'll bring up another point. My friend, he's an old timer. He broke free from living in the middle of Baltimore City and moved all the way out to here. It's bought like 10 acres of land. Lives on it without electricity. He's a hardcore survivor.
Wow, cool.
And he told me once that he would not want me dating his granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is he wants to preserve his people, you know, and I didn't get offended at all. That's, to me, seems like an okay reason.
I'd be like, dude, I don't want to marry her. I just want to tap that fat ass. But that's just me.
But yeah, I figured I'd suggest that you research the Willie Lynch propaganda, and it definitely seems like it's what's they're using that sort of psychology to trick the American people into going to some kind of race war. And it's real scary too, because my friend, he lives out in the middle of the desert, and you know, who knows what kind of thing they're telling them kids at school, and you know there's going to be another group of kids at school with their parents go, oh, all these other groups of people are picking on me, and then who knows what's going to happen. So I really worry about my friend in a situation like this, because he is one of the minorities out here, and they can push that so much that it can erupt on the other side, you know?
Yeah. No, I agree. They want a race war beyond all else. And as far as schools and what's being taught, I'll tell you something about the divide and what's going to happen in schools. They're talking about when they let kids go back to school, that the ones that are vaccinated don't have to wear masks, right? And, you know,
that's another divide. That's another divide.
You know, if you think there's a bully problem now in school, you're not going to see anything like, you know, this before, because it's going to be like, oh, that guy is the problem. You know, that guy right there.
And that was the main thing about that Willie Lynch letter, is they pick any kind of thing that they can pick two groups or two people out of a group that are the same in one area and tell those two people that the rest of them are inferior because these two people are a certain way. Or that's what they do. And they're doing it over and over on any little thing they can. And it's our future does not look good in this country. What are we going to do when the other countries start messing with us when we're weak, you know?
Yeah, well, you know...
All broken apart. Broken apart, that's what they want to do. They want to break everybody apart.
Yeah, I think this thing with the all the ransomware, I think that's a big part of the programming. You know, that they're going to clamp down on the internet and cryptocurrency, and that you know, they're trying to give. I keep seeing these commercials on TV of these young people, right? And they're saying, oh, I got my first laptop when I was 8 years old. And, you know, that was 15 years ago. And there's been no new internet rules since then. You know, don't you think it's time for a change? And all I can think is, you know, what kind of fucking program exists? You know, oh yeah, we need to clamp down security on the internet. No, we need freedom as much as possible. End of story.
Here's another scary scenario that keeps me up at tonight, Michael, is my mother also lives in Arizona, in the most arid of the part of Arizona. And what happens when they do a cyber attack on the electric grid out here?
Yeah.
And all these old people fry to death.
They do not handle hot weather very well.
And that's my big fear living out here. I've been looking into getting a generator just in case.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good idea.
It's quite the scary times we're looking at.
You know, again,
People need to try. If you see someone that you disagree with, try to look for something in that person that's good that you can agree with. That's what I say.
Right on.
I've been trying to, I am kind of prejudiced, but I'm prejudiced against anybody that's silly and will affect me. That's what I say. Try to hate everybody equally, if anything.
Yeah, well, I have a few friends like that. Just can't stand people.
Yeah, that's why I live in the middle of nowhere. No, I love people. It's not that I don't stand them. I just, it's like a drowning person. If you try to save a drowning person the wrong way, they can drown you too.
Well, have you ever tried to save a drowning person? It's very fucking difficult, man.
Yeah. So it's like half the country to me is drowning, and if I would try to run up and save them in the wrong way, I don't want to be a victim of their service.
I can't worry. I don't have time to worry about that. They gotta be saved, or else there's no hope. So.
But anyway, Mike, I just wanted to call for a few, and I support your show 100%, and look up Willie Lynch.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll do that.
Yes, sir. I'll talk to you later. Have a nice night.
All right, call back soon.
Okay, bye.
Okay, and he was saying about, everything's going to collapse, and I'm afraid, it's, scary times. That was the phrase he used, scary times. Again and again and again. I've been hearing this forever, scary times. The Twin Towers coming down. Oh, this is scary times we live in. Just one bullshit thing after another. Scary times. Now we're at this bullshit thing, and it's scary times. And what I've been saying from the beginning of the COVID thing, what I've been saying forever, since I've been on YouTube, don't buy into the fear. That's what they want. This is a big part of the divide, okay? Once you're fearful, then it's like, oh, that group, stay away from that group. Oh, those people are bad. Oh, the Arabs are the terrorists. And that's the programming. And that's how they want it more than anything, is they want the people as divided as possible. They want you all looking at each other like you're the enemy. You're my enemy. Instead of looking at the government like they're my enemy. And this is the problem. They know. Both sides know the government is the problem. Both sides are protesting the government. And yet somehow they already know that that's the problem, but they can't come together and have the power to say, look, we have this common enemy, and if we come together, get over our petty divisions that are programmed from the time we're children that only benefit the rich. If we get over those divisions, we can make anything happen. We can make anything happen. And we built $100 trillion military. For what? To smash things around the world? If we can do that, we can make anything happen. And it's really sad that we're not. And you have to ask yourself again, who benefits from us being stuck in this non-evolving state in which we're just creating war and sorrow and desperation and all kinds of evil things for no reason except for to benefit the rich and powerful, the elitists. Alright, I guess I should play another video since we don't have any callers, because that's what I do. I came to smoke fat dabs and play topical videos and take phone callers. I don't have any phone callers, so...
That Trump won the election. Among the suspect's possessions, this is real, a white privilege card. I want you to take a look at this. It's a fake white privilege credit card. Subtitle, Trump's everything. The card holder, scot-free, with 2 T's. Scot-free is actually spelled with 1 T, but, you know, 2 T's on that card. That one piece of evidence, an insight into the man's state of mind, that he can get away with anything because of his skin color. His lawyer.
Sandra, we are getting details on a book used to teach critical race theory in classrooms as the radical racial ideology continues its rapid spread across America. The book is called Not My Idea, about a boy who sees a white police officer shoot a black man who has his hands up on the news. As the boy tries to make sense of it, he's told that being white is like having a pact with the devil. It's now recommended reading for dozens of school districts in 12 states across the land. That's according to conservative activist Christopher Rufo, who has been fighting critical race theory in schools. Let's now bring in Vivek Ramaswamy, biotech entrepreneur and author of the upcoming book, Woke Incorporated. So a central theme, Vivek, of this book is a whiteness compact with the devil who's luring children with the promise of, quote, stolen land, stolen riches. The book basically promotes the idea that the United States is a systemically racist country and that white children are inherently born into white supremacy. What do you say?
Well, this is classic critical race theory in our schools. It says that if you're white, you're inherently advantaged. If you're black, you're inherently disadvantaged, no matter your economic upbringing, no matter the other factors in your life. And I think this is a toxic ideology that is literally tearing apart our country at the seams in the next generation, because kids don't ordinarily see race. They are taught to see race. And more so, they're now being taught that you are a prisoner of the color of your skin. So I think it's a toxic ideology. But I'll also tell you this, John, is I think that the Republicans need to do a better job of fighting this ideology by not just saying what they don't want to teach, but what we do want to teach instead to fill that wake. And I don't think we've done a good enough job of that, talking about how we replace this ideology with civic education. And I think that's something that we need to move the conversation much more towards that, or else we're going to get trapped in just talking about what we want to ban or what we don't want to teach, instead of talking enough about what we do want to teach instead.
This book is by an author named Anastasia Higginbotham. On her website, she has a little trailer of students reading from the book and talking about it. Let's listen to a little bit of that.
White supremacy is pretend, but the consequences are real. The truth is much simpler.
Skin color makes a difference in how the world sees you. Racism is a white person problem. Understanding the truth takes courage.
On her website, she also says racism was not your idea. You don't need to defend it. But again, it's this idea that white children are born into a culture of inherent racism. And I mean, first of all, is that true? And secondly, what should parents do to teach their children about what they're hearing?
Yeah, so look, I think that this is not the kind of thing that we want to be teaching kids in schools, obviously. It defies the American dream. It says that the color of your skin on the day that you're born determines whether or not you have a chance in this country, whether or not you're oppressed or in an oppressor category. And if America's anything, it means that you can be whoever you want to be, irrespective of the color of your skin. And the problem is that what we teach kids about America, the way we talk about America to them, defines what America actually becomes in the next generation. So the way to fight this, though, John, is I think we need to be teaching them about our actual history. Yes, including our shortcomings, but also the way in which we have overcome those shortcomings. We have talked for a decade about all of the ways we have fallen short of our ideals, that we have forgotten exactly what those ideals were in the first place. So I think the real answer has to be reviving civic education in this country, talking about 1776 and the values of 1776 when this country's ideals were born. I think that's going to be a much more successful approach than just talking about banning critical race theory or criticizing critical race theory. We've done enough of that now. Now we need to move on to the next step of the civic education that fills that void.
You know, Vivek, we have you on all the time here on Fox, but I've never asked you this question. Have you yourself ever experienced racism? And what do you tell your children about it?
Yeah, I have experienced racism personally, and it has been from people of multiple different races from whom I've experienced racism. Growing up in Ohio, it's where I live today. Yes, everyone experiences hardship. But the thing I tell my kids is the same thing. My kid, who was the same thing that I told the kids at my high school this year when I spoke at their commencement. And it's this. Hardship is not the same thing as victimhood. Hardship is something that you encounter. Victimhood is a choice. And other people do make mistakes, and they grow up too. In fact, many of the times that I experienced racism may have been when I was a kid, and the people who were the perpetrators may have been young people as well. But the idea is that that doesn't make me a victim. It ultimately allows us to be strengthened by the experiences that we've had and to see beyond that, to see what we actually all share in common. That's what I think we need to be teaching the next generation.
You know, Vivek, we should also just point out that we reached out to Anastasia Higginbotham and got this response from her. She said, folks are really obsessed with the inclusion of a devil in the book. It's almost like they want to distract themselves instead of looking inward and questioning their own role in white supremacy. I depict the system of whiteness as the devil in a children's picture book so kids can see what lies behind the outstretched hand, promising belonging, safety, security, power, access, and permission. Quick last thought from you.
Yeah, so one favor that Anastasia does there is she highlights the way in which wokeness and critical race theory actually represents a modern secular religion. The invocation of the devil is just one more example of that. And what I argue is that this is a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which says you can't discriminate on the basis of religion in public or private institutions. And actually, that means you can't force kids or teachers to bow down to this religion any more than any other. So I think that's actually a promising legal argument that we're going to see played out in court in the years ahead.
Vivek Ramaswamy, always great to have you on. Thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Good to see you, John.
Sandra?
Great conversation.
All right. So that was really a pretty good conversation. I actually did enjoy that. And especially the part about victimhood, you know, like I was saying, it seems like we're in this victim culture now where almost anything you say is going to offend someone, you know. So, you know, especially when you're making public statements. And this is why I try and do what I do with a lot of humor. Because maybe I'm just cracking myself up because I kill me. But again, humor is this consistent thing throughout all of our experiences, almost. Depending on if you're open to it, you know, if you're in the moment, if you're actually trying to perceive it somewhere around you. I often am looking for the brighter side, and humor is definitely part of that brighter side. That being said, I think the cannabis helps that a lot, you know, because if we've seen, I posted videos that say, you know, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I think pretty much all Americans, U.S. citizens, are experiencing at this moment. Post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety, all these things with 1 or 2 puffs of cannabis will greatly subside. Like they're, you know, like not even noticeable anymore. So if you're walking around with this stress, you know, and you can have 1 puff of cannabis and that just falls off of you. Who would want to keep that from you? Who wouldn't recognize that as being a beneficial thing to have in our life? Especially considering they say stress is the big killer. You know, don't stress out. You know, well, there's a simple key to that. And again, Why would they keep that from us? You know, who benefits from them keeping that from us? The alcohol industry, the tobacco industry, the petroleum industry, the textile industry, the for-profit medical industrial complex. If you can have something where you just take a puff and you're way, 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 way less stressed out, then that's going to hurt their bottom line. And if you're not all stressed out and the killer is stress, maybe you're not going to be producing cancer or whatever other thing that comes from stress. What now?
Hello, my name is Michael.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It is right now. It is Michael. My name is motherfucking Michael. Michael.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's
it
not.
Is by I identify as Michael.
No, you
I
don't.
am identifying as Michael.
No.
Right now.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Nope.
I am getting this birth certificate fixed, and I'm changing my name to Michael.
Why would you do that?
Michael.
Do you know?
Michael.
Do you know what the word Michael means?
It means fucking. It means like when you're like super fucking stoned and you're like out there and you're fucking just like fucking around with a bunch of bullshit and you're just like, you know what, I don't give a shit about anything anymore currently at the fucking goddamn moment, shit, fucker. Michael, that's the fucking...
That is seriously fucking irritating. Michael is a strong option to consider. Michael was first derived from the name Michaela, meaning who is godlike in Hebrew. So, who is godlike or gift from God? So I'm just saying that's the meaning of the word Michael, in case anyone's wondering. Like I said, I kill me. Okay, so where were we before we were so rudely interrupted? I don't remember. Oh, we were talking about cannabis, right? And the stress that's relieved, and who benefits from keeping it illegal, right? This is we keep coming back to who benefits. This should be a running theme within your information, taking in information from all the different sources that you take in information from. You should ask yourself a lot, who benefits? Because it's a very important question. So, again, cannabis, taking the stress away, and being able to enjoy your life, see the things that are going on around you, instead of carrying all this stress, this post-traumatic stress disorder, this, in the modern world, it's just, there's so much, and it's so hard to just take a minute and breathe, And this is what I'm saying about the cannabis. It makes a huge difference. And why would they keep it from us? Because it connects us to the earth, which they do not want. They don't want you connected to the earth. They don't want you caring about the earth at all. They don't want you to see the earth as anything but something to be conquered. Okay? Cannabis connects us to the earth, connects us to each other, and connects us to the higher spirit. Who doesn't want these things? Again, with the stress, the anxiety, all this tension, being relieved. Who doesn't want this? You got to ask yourself.
Sometimes life can be a little overwhelming. Sometimes the weight of the world can be too much to bear. Sometimes you need to stop worrying and take a deep breath. Sometimes you need cannabis. Introducing Brightside, high-quality cannabis delivered right to your door. Brightside offers an extensive menu of strains and products to meet your needs. Choose the experience you want, and we'll send you the dankest herb, the real sticky icky, some top-shelf marijuana. If you like what we send you, keep the whole jar. We'll even include some nugs for you to blaze. As part of Discovery, you'll get to try new strains and products. Side effects may include euphoria, increased appetite, uncontrollable giggles, elevated sensitivity to musical dopeness, and reduced anxiety. Tetrahydrocannabinol may also induce feelings of existential well-being and relentless optimism. With a Brightside subscription, you can get it once a month, once a week, or whenever you want, all at a price you'll like. And yes, this is a real company.
Do you know who I am?
You're the wizard.
Ask your doctor if cannabis is right for you. It probably is. Keep it Brightside.
I love that video, and it just is so spells it out. It's one of the best videos I can imagine. You know, it just spells out all this thing. You know, the side effects are sensitivity to heightened sensitivity to musical dopeness. That's one of the side effects, and a relentless sense of optimism. Right? I love that video. It's not only is it beautiful, it's almost educational. I mean, it's just spot on with what, you know, cannabis could be if it wasn't a goddamn police state, you know. So I'm really glad to see that Canadians blasted that stupid law. You know, every single Canadian over the age of 18, not this 21 bullshit. Again, this is the police state bullshit. At 18, people are considered to be an adult, which means they should be allowed to go and buy cannabis. Now, I'm not sure what the legal drinking age in Canada is, but let's see, the legal drinking age in Canada is 18. So this again is this thing, you know, where we have to be babysat all day long, every day, by the ever-expanding, over-intrusive, comply or die police state. This is what we're given, you know, and the states where cannabis is legal, they have a little bit of extra freedom. And I don't know why the cops wouldn't want to, you know, well, I do know why the cops, but they wouldn't want to get this little petty thing, you know, something that doesn't have to be a concern of theirs anymore, so they can focus on more important things, right? But I do know why the cops wouldn't want that, which is if they have less time to focus on the more important things, then they need a bigger budget and more cops, right? And a bigger budget means raises and shit like that. And not only that, then they have their jackbooted boot on the necks of the public, because most public, you know, they support legalization. So the police state, again, the comply or die police state, ever expanding, over intrusive, aren't about to give up the ability to fuck with someone just because they have flowers in their pocket, just because they smoke flowers instead of tobacco. So, and which one is really a healthier choice, right? If the cannabis relieves all this stress, all this tension, all this anxiety, if the cannabis gives you a relentless sense of optimism, as stated in the Brightside commercial, or a heightened sense of musical dopeness, how is that a bad thing? How does that not make humanity a better, happier place to be? And why would some evil government make that illegal around the world, as the U.S. government has? And these are very important questions, which I hope that you will ask yourself. Because again, as I'm saying, the only source of all our problems is the U.S. government. That's the only source of all our problems. The only real threat to our freedom. The U.S. government. Not China, not Russia, not Iran. The only real threat to our freedom, to our personal freedom, is the U.S. government. And how could I say such a thing? I don't know. This giant police state in which the prison industrial, the evil people make money off the people's hardship of having to go to prison, of having to go to jail, private prisons. You know, that's disgusting and sick. And America has more people in prison than China. And China has 4 times the population of America. So it's the U.S. government. That's the problem. And we're going to talk all night long about that tomorrow. But right now, I'm going to call it a night because I don't want to talk to Steve McClanahan again. So that being said, we do this every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, which means we'll be back tomorrow, same Mox time, same Mox channel. And until then, stay cool, because one of these days, this war is going to end. Stay cool till then.
I mean, this coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. I wish the coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits, and they cobble together and they don't attack each other, they stay united. Coalition of misfits.
No matter which mouth you feed on a two-headed snake, it still shits the same turd. But lucky for you, you have Mox News. More than 10 years. More than 60,000 videos. Mox News has been filtering the nonsense and illuminating the bullshit from your mainstream media. Turn off your TV and turn on to Mox News. For over a decade, documenting the socio-political events that have etched and carved the pathways that define today's modern mess, Mox News has been providing clarity while faithfully bringing you today's relevant stories 100% commercial-free and subscription-free. And just like Lady Liberty vows to remain free. But at this time, we're asking you for your help, your patronage, and your support to keep the lights on and the videos rolling. For less than 17 cents per day, you can become a basic subscriber, knowing that your donation is truly making a difference that will help continue bringing the news stories that make a difference in your life. Turn on, tune in, and drop a couple dimes today by clicking the link below or visiting moxnews.com and show your support at any level. From a single one-time donation or dedicated monthly subscriber, do it now in less than 2 minutes. All donations are safe, securely processed, and verified using PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover Card. As always, we're sure you'll find something of interest each and every day. This holiday season, give the gift of Mox. moxnews.com.